All right, everybody. I'm extraordinarily sorry about that. I promise this was for a good cause. I just recorded a video that I think is the best theory video. Okay, I can promise this, all right? You will watch, I will promise this, because the video became very, very extensive. Very, very extensive. You will, the mustache is gone after today. I'm shaving it tomorrow. This is it. Looking like a mad scientist. I feel like a mad scientist. This is the best LBAF theory. What was just recorded is the best LBAF theory. It is the best LBAF. What's up with the hair? Leave me alone. This is the way it looks right now. All right. The best LBAF theory that exists. All right. Best LBAF theory that exists. Best theory that... Wait, let me see. Let me pull up my channel. Let me pull up my own channel. All right. Let me pull up my own channel. See what I've been doing so far. What I've been doing recently. I'm catching up on supers in a second as well. Thank you beforehand. I think that this is the best theory that I've put out since... let me see. I think that this is the best... Okay, if we count this as a theory... I talked about Luffy and Shanks' war between Yonko. I think that's a very likely theory, like Luffy and the Red-Haired Pirates coming into conflict just because of the Bartolomeo situation. I think this is the most elaborate theory and the most interesting, like, just in general lore breakdown as well as future of One Piece breakdown that I've done in a long time. So I'm very excited for this theory. You look so Indian. I am Indian. Leave me. That's it. Crystal says I missed 3 streams. What happened to him? Is the mustache that crazy? I was Gomez Adams for Halloween yesterday. It is being shaved off this weekend, and the hair will be back to normal as well. All right? Hair will be back to normal as well. All right. Morj stash, what the hell? Have you guys not... I've had the mustache for a few streams now. I swear. All right. Bro, looking Indian as hell. I am Indian. That's correct. I am Indian. All right. Let's get the likes up to 100 real quick for the mustache. Let's get the likes up for the mustache and for the theory. How about for the theory? Razvan Antonescu. All right, everybody. Hello. Fleet Admiral hug you. Sun God Morj. Fleet Admiral hug you. That's funny. Yeah, a lot of Akainu hype. Lars Caesar says, give the mustache at least 2 more weeks. Trust. No, I don't want to have... I'm not a mustache guy. I don't think there's anybody in the world that looks better with a mustache. I think a mustache is just always the wrong call. Razvan Antonescu, thanks a lot. Oda, drop a new character design for Morj. Water 7, any Slavia. God damn it, man. Yeah. Dick so small, I piss on my balls, thanks. What would you ask in an SBS? JP says, geez, that mustache jump scared me. Leave the mustache alone. It's for a Halloween costume. It's going to be gone tomorrow. What would I ask in an SBS? I would ask in an SBS, I'm going to be honest, in an SBS, I would probably just clarify... This is a dumb thing, but this is actually one of the things that's bugged me. I would want to clarify something, I would probably want to clarify something that is a long-term One Piece community debate that I don't think will be answered in the future, right? So, for example, you could say, like, Shanks versus Mihawk or something, but I think as the story unfolds and we see more and more, we will organically, by the end of the story, be able to have more information that we can conclusively say this or that is the case, right? So I'm not going to ask something like that, right? What is something that we have long wondered in the community that we would like clarification for? Honestly, I think, I might ask Oda something hockey related, like something to flesh out hockey. Like, it might be something as simple like, Dear Oda-san, how do we know when Advanced Conquerors hockey is being used? It might be something as simple as that, because that's been a fucking headache for everybody for a long time. Top says Mr. Brownbeard Morj worth 87k berries. I like you guys see that meme of like The Whitebeard meme of like grows a mustache, calls himself Whitebeard despite not having a beard. Nobody questions it. I've heard that it's fine in Japanese because in Japanese like mustache and beard are like interchangeable or something. But you know, Morj, you look 10 times more Indian today. Okay, well I guess savor it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, I'd ask something that I don't think, because I have a feeling that Oda might not clarify anything more on Conqueror's hockey and hockey. I feel like Oda sits in bed at night and is just like, you know what? I did a good job explaining hockey to my readers. They really know what's up with that. I'm actually so fucking confused because, first of all, are the SBS questions real? Can somebody Oda says guess LMAO. Are the SBS questions real? Can anybody clarify that? Because we know that sometimes there's like questions that are clearly planted by Oda by like something Skywalker or something like that, right? Am I totally forgetting something? You know what I mean? Vote for Trump must... No, that's not the goal. It's a Halloween costume. You see this shit in the background? This is Halloween decorative shit. This is decorative Halloween shit. Lars Caesar said, I'll be sad when you give up on the mustache. Do you want that? Didn't you say... I don't know. Are they real? I feel like it's I don't think they're real. I feel like these are just questions that Oda wants to answer. I don't know. I feel like they can't be real because like these cannot be the best questions, right? Am I crazy? These can't be the best questions that are being asked, right? If these are the best questions that are being asked out of the entire One Piece fan base, if this is the best shit that we're getting, right? With so many questions that we want answered in One Piece, right? If these are the best questions that are being asked, I'm just going to outright say it. I hate the Japanese. I'm just going to outright say it. If these are real questions that are being asked by real people, and these are like out of the entire One Piece fan base, this is the cream of the crop, right? The cream of the crop. This is the best stuff that they're coming up with, right? I hate them. I'm just gonna say that. I'll openly say that. I won't deny it. I won't hide it from it or run from it. I hate them. If this is the stuff that they choose to ask, because why is it that there's so many valuable questions that could be asked in One Piece? There should not be a single stupid question that is being answered in SBS. Why is it that with every SBS we're like sorting through shit? It's like sorting through shit to get to like one or two useful things, right? You should not submit a question to the SBS if it's a fucking stupid ass question, because you're robbing the world of the. If Oda only got good questions, right, then he would be forced to answer good questions, right? But the reality is he must be getting a shit ton of stupid ass questions, and so he's trolly. So he's like, well, I'll answer like one good question and like 10 stupid ass questions for each one of, like I'll do a 10-to-1 ratio of good to bad questions, you know? I'll just say it. I think that they need to fix their shit over there if this is the type of stuff that they're putting out there. Yeah, this is a Joseph Joestar reference. By the way, if you have not seen episode 1 of part 3, but I resonate with him right now. I just love how it starts. The first thing that he says is, "I hate the Japanese." In the first episode of part 3. I hate the Japanese. Dick so small I piss on my balls. Thanks for the 5. How would you feel if Doku turns Zoro into a woman and is offended by the implication that Zoro beats Shiryu that way to show he lost no power to honor Kuina? One, here's the thing. I think Zoro would lose power if he's turned into a woman because it wouldn't physically be the same body, right? So wouldn't it, like, if Zoro got turned into a woman and then defeated Mihawk, then I could see an argument. But if Zoro turned into a woman and then beats like Shiryu, I'd be like, okay, you're like Shiryu level, which is fuck Zoro. I would count that as basically Zoro. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I think that King, in my opinion, right now, I'm gonna guess King is stronger than Shiryu. I'm going to guess right now, in my opinion, Lucci is stronger than Shiryu. Okay? There's not one thing that Shiryu has done. In fact, the things that Shiryu has done de-hype him. in that I feel like if you threw Lucci into that fight, like if Lucci was helping out, trying to, get some hits in on Garp and stuff like that, I think it would be more effective than Shiryu in that battle, Let alone King. I definitely think King would be better. Jolly D. Joestar, thanks for the 2. Mustache shave stream. I could do that. That's like an easy stream for me to do. I could show off Manscaped. We could do that goal. Yeah, you guys want to do a goal? I'm down to do a goal. I'll shave the mustache on stream for like a goal. Actually, that's a thing. Normally, I wouldn't do this, but this is a thing. There's a thing called Super Chat goals. I will do that. I will shave this mustache on stream for Super Chat goals, and I will use Manscaped, and I'll drop the link to Manscaped in the chat for you guys to use it, because Manscaped's razor is pretty good. It's by far, like, it's made it so, like, you guys sometimes might think that, like, I don't use the sponsors that I talk about. I use Manscaped every single fucking time I shave, because I didn't use a beard trimmer before Manscaped. Manscaped's beard trimmer is really fucking fast. I can show you guys. I will show you guys on stream. This will be the ultimate Manscaped promotion. I will show you guys on stream. I will shave this mustache off right in front of you on stream using the beard trimmer. I'll do it. If the people want it, I can do it. Continuing on. Fatingo, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 25 months. As a person living here in Japan, I can promise you the general One Piece fan here does not give a flying fuck about the intricacies of the story. They very much like for Oda to take him on the journey. Alright, then I stand by my statement. I was hoping that you would be able to come through and, like, defend him or something and be like, no, the majority people, they've got good questions, but then, like, it's just these bad apples that get in and, like, drop these dumbass One Piece, like, stupid questions like, hey, Oda, could Robin, like, replicate her boobs? And then Oda's, like, sitting there with a nosebleed being like, oh, exactly what I was hoping someone would ask. Well, Sonny boy, let me tell you right here. If I was hoping it would just be like one or two people that like get in the mix of SBS questions and ask that dumbass shit once in a while. But it sounds as though everybody likes doing that stupid shit. Stephen Guy, thanks a lot. No shave November, Morj. Well, to start that, I'd have to start with shaving, right? Like shave to get to, what do you call? Ground, like clean slate, and then we go from there. I could do a goal. Should I do a goal? I don't know if we'll see. Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing a Hunter x Hunter stream on Sunday. Do I hate Oda? No, I love Oda, but I feel like Oda has certain tendencies that his readership enables that don't further anybody else's enjoyment of the story, in my opinion, such as using the SBS to answer bullshit. All right, here's how we're going to be doing it, all right? We're going to go to either Pew Piece or Arthur O'Hara's thing, and we're going to react to everything bit by bit. I guess we can start with Arthur, right? Let's do Arthur. Let's support Arthur. We're going to go to Arthur's thing. We're going to read through all of the new information, and it's going to go back kind of far, right? Because we got a lot to discuss here. 1 second. JWP, thanks for the 5. Also like the Morjcast coming out at the same time as the video. Felt like we got a 40-minute deep dive Morj video. Okay, that's going to be the standard from now on. So from here on, because for those of you who don't know, if you're Yonko tier or up in terms of support, either as a YouTube member or a Patreon member, I drop podcasts every week, right? I drop podcasts every single week. I used to drop them on Fridays. Now they will be dropped Tuesdays along with that week's video, so you can watch the video and then go get the extended thoughts on the video right afterwards. So I'm excited because this next video has a shit ton of extended thoughts. Batman Frio, thanks for the 2. What if you nick yourself while shaving, LMAO? I did. Yesterday, so we had we hosted a little Halloween party thing at our place yesterday, okay? I basically, if you recall, when I kept the mustache, right? From the first Halloween party we had, which was 2 Saturdays ago. Okay, I kept the mustache since then, but then my beard also started to grow out. Okay, so yesterday, because I'm supposed to be Gomez Adams, I was like, okay, I need to shave, get back into full character for tonight's Halloween party, right? So, because we're getting all this stuff ready, decorations, yada yada, I was fucking rushed at the very end of it, so I had to go shave really fucking fast, and I did nick myself. I actually have a cut. You might be able to see. I don't know if you can see. You guys might be able to see, might not be able to see. I have a cut on my chin because I cut myself shaving, so that could happen. JWP, thanks for the 5. Yo, Morj man, long time no Morj. I was fiending for Hunter x Hunter stream peak, but too much happened this week in the One Piece world to not talk about it. Yeah, there's just too much. If it was like a blank One Piece week with nothing to talk about, I'd cover Hunter x Hunter, but we've got a shit ton to talk about, so I'm going to do that. We will be using Arthur. We're going to be using Arthur here, all right? I believe Arthur. I trust Arthur. I like Arthur's stuff. I know that sometimes there's questionable translations and stuff, but at the very least, like, he puts in high effort, and it's always formatted nicely, which I appreciate. And you guys will clarify if something is correct or incorrect, right? All right, so we're going to start from the bottom. Hold on. And Hunter x Hunter, I'm going to do a Hunter x Hunter stream maybe Sunday. I'm going to shoot for Sunday, okay? Kiara, thank you for the 20. What if Loki had a trickster devil fruit? Assuming it's a mythical Zoan and has a will, then the fruit could itself trick Loki and everyone else to think that they're the sun god. God of Trickster counters Luffy as well. That's interesting because, like, it would be a good, like, the problem is that would its abilities be too similar to Luffy's? Because in my mind, it's like, Nika is the sun god and technically a warrior of liberation and everything, but at the end of the day, his abilities most fit a trickster type ability. So it's almost as though he is a trickster god. So another trickster god ability would feel like it's verging on the same territory, unless it's a different slant, like a darker slant or something like that, which could be possible, so I guess we'll wait and see. I do believe it's going to be a god fruit at the very least. Definitely a god fruit. Also, yeah, before I forget, Pirate King Podcast is coming out. Pirate King Podcast is open for submissions, so if you have questions that you want me to answer in depth, be it One Piece related, other anime, other manga, real life, video games, whatever, you can join the Pirate King tier either here on YouTube or on Patreon and get your submission in for the Pirate King Podcast. I'll be recording it probably Monday, I'll say. So you've got today, weekend, etc. to get your submission in. All right, let me look this shit up. All right, here we go. All right, so we are here. Is this okay? This is all new shit, right? How far back am I going? Where's the 10 questions? Where are the 10 questions? Okay, I think it starts here. Okay, I think it's here. Here. No, is it here? Where is this shit? This is not it. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. Okay, here we go. Arthur did this on a plane. Props to him, man. Okay. Tom, thanks for the 5. Morj, listen, Shuri's awakening will make him intangible, and Zoro will have to learn to truly cut nothing. At the least, same ability as Melioron in Hunter x Hunter. That is an interesting idea. Zoro having to learn to cut nothing. I like that possibility, because, one, it would make Shiryu a very fitting villain, just because Shiryu himself, as it is right now, I don't think is a threat. And I can't imagine him getting that much stronger swordsmanship-wise, right? Because the thing that was established is that the Blackbeard Pirates, what they can really do right now is work on their devil fruits. I don't feel like Shiryu's going to turn out to be some, like, Conqueror's Haki user. So if he can get his devil fruit to an awakened point where it's literally he turns transparent, I think that would be a really, really good and unique challenge for Zoro. I also think in some of Zoro's fights, an interesting challenge that he's sometimes faced with is having to figure out how to cut this or that, right? Like, cutting Mr. One, cutting Steel, difficulty cutting King, so you have to awaken Conqueror's Haki. Learning to cut nothing might be a good logical endpoint of that whole trajectory. I like that possibility quite a bit. So that could be interesting. I like that. That's a good idea. Ryan Dufour, thanks for the 5. Loki's eyes are the key to his devil fruit. Usopp will take him down by shooting him in his eyes, just like David and Goliath. The eyes are bandaged. It's just that, like, if you're someone like Loki, shouldn't you be able to dodge that sort of thing? You know? Like, his eyes are a big target, but still, you should be able to dodge. You know, like, someone like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, they're never going to get sniped by Usopp. Like, they'll always be able to block or deflect or dodge or something, right? Duck20, thanks for the 2. BTW Blackbeard is going to kill Emu and take their powers. See, if Emu is a mythical Zoan, I could definitely see that being possible. If Emu is a mythical Zoan. Because it's like, we know Blackbeard should get one more major fruit. At the same time, though, it's just like the world government is being set up in so many ways to be endgame villains, right? Like, The Gorosei being set up is really, really powerful, with Figarla and Garling being added to their ranks and everything. Seraphim, although Blackbeard could get the Seraphim on his side. The Gods Knights. So, like, it feels as though the world government is being built up really big, and I still feel like the Blackbeard pirates are just severely lacking behind. So, it would have to be a huge, huge, huge ramp up in their capability to get there for me. Also, let's get the likes to 100. We'll start reacting to everything once the likes are at 100. By the way, I've read or I've skimmed through most of this, so we'll be going through and talking about it here. So it's not a pure reaction. Arvin Jayakumar, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 22 months. Make sure you get your submission in. Thank you for the long-term support. Make sure you get your submission in for the Pirate King podcast. Just over today or the course of the weekend, just whatever question you want to ask. Real talk, please get over the pain of the Chainsaw Man video age restriction. Manga Morj content has your best work, likely because your ideas are fresher than One Piece. That's probably true. Example, with Hunter x Hunter back, your analytical content would be perfect. You know what? I might test out a little bit on Sunday. I want to share some Hunter x Hunter ideas, and then maybe test the waters a little bit, basically, and then see if it's worth pursuing. But here's the bigger thing, right? So it's the Chainsaw Man video getting age restricted. That hurt my passion for it, like my excitement and my passion, and it just feels like a huge mountain to climb to do another project like that again, right? By the way, the Wano video is written. I finished writing the Wano video over the break. I think I mentioned that it was written before, but not in the editing, whatever stage of it. It is currently written, like draft done, etc. I need to record, need to do all the editing, images, etc. for it, and then that hurdle will be done. Goal will be to get it out hopefully next break week. Ideal would have been during this double break, but it's too ambitious to attempt to do that. It's not a thing that is worth rushing, in my opinion. So while I could have killed myself to try and get us to get it over the hump over the break week, I'm like, we'll just get it. We'll get it when we get it, but at least the writing and concept part of it is closed out. So that feels good. But circling back to Chainsaw Man, doing these sort of really long analysis videos, it takes a lot of time and effort. The bigger thing with Manga Morj is I realized that, one, I have to put in a ton of time and effort to pump out those type of videos consistently, and two, doing that at the same time as the One Piece channel without the One Piece channel dipping in quality is very, 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 very difficult, or I'm just overworking myself to death, right? So I'm going to do things step by step. Let me get out the Wano analysis first. Then I get a bit of a breather. Then I can re-examine, okay, how would I pace myself out to keep working on this other channel while continuing to build the One Piece channel? Or alternatively, is there a universe where I actually start to just expand in the One Piece channel and start doing other content that isn't just One Piece on the One Piece channel? Those are the two options at the moment. But I need to do it one step at a time, so want a video out first. But I appreciate the praise for the Manga Morj and the Chainsaw Man video. I still encourage everybody to go check that out. Oh, JWP, holy shit. Thank you very, very much, as usual, for gifting multiple memberships to the good people in chat. Jordan Vance, War Paragon, good people in chat. Just say thanks to JWP for gifting out several memberships to everybody. Always, many of you people in chat are benefactors of JWP's generosity, obviously including myself. So thanks a lot, man. Always appreciate it. And also, thank you for the 10. I was watching a reaction to Thriller Bark, and I noticed that when Absalom and Hogback left Thriller Bark, Absalom was able to make the whole ship they left on invisible, including Hogback. Awakening? I don't know, LMAO. Oh, shit, man. If that fruit's awakening is just turning other things invisible, this sucks. Zora's gonna have the worst fight of all time. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 25 months. Hey Morj, the mustache looks good. Thank you. What do you think Oda's greatest strength and weaknesses are as a writer? I think that's pretty easy for me. Greatest strengths, I would say, are, number one, for me, I think emotional moments. I think he does really hard-hitting, very expressive, very grand emotional moments phenomenally well. Like, I think he does grand, big emotional moments that are iconic and kind of stick with you really, 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 really well. to the point that like the panel or the phrasing and the facial expression, it stands out in a way that's kind of burned in your memory because of the story that leads up to it, and then the execution of the panel and the moment itself. He's phenomenal at emotional moments, emotional storylines and emotional moments. He has a knack for just pulling at people's heartstrings and tugging them this way or that. Okay, he's really, really, really good at that. Really, really good at that. I think one of the reasons for that, by the way, is like he's willing to go really, really cutesy with like his writing style naturally lends itself to like being really cutesy and fun, right? And then but he's also willing to go dark with it. So like he can be really cutesy, fun, silly, etc. And then that makes it that much more painful when you see like certain character dynamics that are like torn, like Chopper and Hero look, oh, it's so cute, it's so funny, like it's so sweet, etc. And then that's all ripped to shreds at the end, and it becomes very real and heartbreaking and emotional. He's really, really good at doing that. Because like it just hurts more when everything feels so Disney and light and everything like that at first, and then it goes into this really, really dark place, like everything that happened to Robin or something like that, right? So I think Oda's really, really good at that. He's really, really good at that. Okay, so I think to me that's his number one strength for myself personally. But then in general, in terms of like storytelling in a more like critically analyzing, like critical analysis perspective, I think his long-term story planning and vision is just straight up, it's the best I've ever seen personally in anything ever. Like long-term story planning and vision, it's just unrivaled, right? And then with that comes world building, also phenomenal strength of his. I think those are like some of the few key main biggest strengths. If you were to say weaknesses, I think that like I'll just list like two off the top that I think, and one of them is just more recent. The other one has been, I think, a thing in the story forever. But the one that's more recent is like I do feel like it's slowly turned in, like, because he's such a creative person and has so many ideas and so many characters and thinks of so many stories, at a certain point it can feel like cramming. Like there's not any, like the simplest example, like you started the story with 4 Scabbards, but then you just added 9 Scabbards, and at the end of the day I don't think anybody really loves the Scabbards as characters. Like that's an example of just too much desire to create. Like ultimately, if you keep adding and adding and adding things in the story, you're not going to be able to focus and flesh out individual things that matter as much, right? Not like it's quantity versus quality. You can't just always have both. So the more you're adding in, the less focus each individual strand is getting. And so I think that there is more clutter, more fluff, more all of that in this more bloat arc to arc in the story these days. Yeah, and like that didn't used to be the case. The other weakness I would say is, I don't know if this is really weak. I think that this is kind of a weakness. It's hard to explain, but Oda does not prioritize logic in his storytelling, right? One Piece is not, it has really good themes and thematic writing and everything, but it's not a cerebral story or a cerebral read. And there's kind of like, you know, One Piece has a ton of strengths over Hunter x Hunter, but like the other stream that we're considering doing that we might do this weekend, like Hunter x Hunter, if you were to compare like how Oda's characters talk and think, etc., to how Hunter x Hunter's characters talk and think, and how like every line of logic is very carefully thought through, and like everything makes sense, and the author, like Togashi's very sensitive to like, wait, does this make sense? If it doesn't seem like it makes sense, let me clarify or break down reasons as to why the narrative has to play out in this way, etc. With Oda, a lot of times it's just like, this is just happening because it just has, like, there's lots of little logic or plot things that are kind of just like a little bit like, like, okay, this seems like a little bit dumb. You kind of need to look past like, in One Piece, there's a lot of moments where you kind of need to look past something that's a little bit dumb, basically, at different moments. So, but that's still like, the tone of the world is also more whimsical, so it works, right? It just plays the line of that like a little bit. But those are two weaknesses, I suppose you would say, and one of those weaknesses is only more recent in the story. But he has way more strengths, and many of his strengths are things that I think, like, I personally think he's the best that I've ever seen at. Anyway, Bossum element, like, I would say right off the bat. Oh, and last thing I'd say is hype in terms of strengths. I'll throw in one more strength. I think One Piece is the most hype story because Oda really knows how hype works. He's also really fucking good at mystery. He's like phenomenal at long-term mysteries. I'm not gonna say he's the best mystery mangaka or whatever, but like he's really good at that too. Like he's just so many strengths that are random additional strengths on top of other things, like character designs, characterization, thinking of like interesting quirks for each individual, etc. But hype is another big one, because one of the biggest things that carries One Piece nowadays in terms of like getting new readers involved, keeping people on the train, is just how hype the series can get. Because Oda understands that hype is really built on build up, right? The more you build something up and the more you hold back, and the more like he knows how to drip little things in just the right increments to keep people thirsting for more while holding back his cards that are the most valuable. And that's why when certain things happen, like holy shit, Garp's raiding Hachinosu and fighting Aokiji and stuff, everybody's just like nutting everywhere because of just the fact that it's happening whatsoever. The fight itself is frankly not that good. Like if I were to break it down, like in my mind, I'm like, Garp raiding Hachinosu and fighting the Blackbeard Pirates, one of the best scenes in One Piece. That whole sequence of events, like one of the coolest, best action story sequences in One Piece. And then I go back and like read through the fight, and I'm like, if I were to compare this to like any other fight in any other manga, this fight is ass. He and Aokiji interact like 3 times, and beyond that, like we don't even see some of the shit that's happening. Like we tune in, San Juan Wolf has already been tossed into the sea and stuff. I'm like, there's actually almost no good action in this fight, but it's so hype because the amount of build-up and weight to what's happening and how important and strong we know these characters are, like, just any individual interaction feels inherently very, very, very exciting. Like, seeing Garp and Aokiji punch each other, aside from the story dramatic character reasons, it's just cool seeing characters of this caliber in One Piece actually go at it, you know? It's cool seeing Garp, like, come in and just throw Conqueror's Haki Punch, or use the blue hole move and everything like that. It's just cool because we were so excited to see it. Even just seeing like Blackbeard and Rayleigh not fight and just square off like they're about to fight for one page, that has people clamoring for like chapter of the year. But you feel it because Oda's so good at hype, right? So there's many things that I think, in my opinion, Oda's the best mangaka that I've read at, 1, making me feel strong emotions, like strong tearjerker emotions. 2, long-term story planning. He's the best storyteller that I've ever experienced at that. He's the best at world building that I have experienced, right? I've read Lord of the Rings and stuff, but I haven't read all the books, right? I've read a couple of the Game of Thrones books, but like I'm saying in general, the stories that I've stuck with, etc. Oda's the best at world building, and he's by far the most hype writer that I've ever followed. So I'd say those are the biggest strengths. Bassam El Mudawi, thanks for the 5. I like the idea that Blackbeard chose devil fruits that his crew will use to steal the treasure of Marijua. Oh, that's interesting. Couldn't he have just had Laffy do it on day 1? That does make sense, though. That is a really, really cool idea. He's like, you get impersonation, you get teleportation, you get invisibility. That's really interesting. That's actually a great idea. I like that idea, Bassam El Mudawi. Anyway, continuing on. Hold on. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 5. How would One Piece or other universes fare in the Tournament of Power given its rules? Who would you pick from One Piece? Feel free to steal this for a stream idea. So are One Piece characters just at their normal One Piece levels, or are they allowed to, like, learn ki and moves like that? If they're just at their normal One Piece levels, then you need to go with, like, more hacks characters because they can't compete otherwise, right? Does ki count as haki? Like, would Goku and those characters be able to hurt admirals because they have, like, would a Kamehameha beam be essentially the same as like a hockey move or something? If we pretend it's not the same thing, or if we assume it's not the same thing, right, then I think you gotta pick characters that are a little bit broken, right? So maybe like a Shiryu, a Perona, not a Shiryu, sorry, not Shiryu. I'm thinking Shiryu just because we were just talking about him. Not Shiryu. Maybe like a Perona, a Kizaru. I think a Kizaru, you got to lead with someone like Kizaru because it can't be touched, right? Even with other characters, like even with other Logias, it's too dicey because like even if you throw in like Aokiji or Akainu or something, those characters can fucking blow up planets, so they'd be screwed. Even Kizaru would be screwed, right? Kizaru's at the very least, like, he's the most intangible of all the Logia, right? Because light is the most intangible it gets, pretty much, while still being one of the Logia elements, right? Everything else, you could see it being snuffed out in some way. Light's light, right? So planets can't be... So planets can't be destroyed here, right? We're just assuming there's still. I think you'd have to go with Kizaru. Can Kuma really reflect anything back as long as it's not? I'm sure he can't reflect anything back, right? I think you gotta go with some. Even with Perona, she would just get like fucking sniped by a Kamehameha beam. I'm gonna be honest. I think if One Piece was dropped in the Tournament of Power, they all just die. I don't think that. I think it wouldn't be complicated. I think they would all just die, and I think that like Krillin or Yamcha or someone could just do it. You did say feel free to steal this for a stream idea, so I actually might. That is actually a pretty good stream idea. That's a good stream idea. All right. That's a great stream idea. I'm going to steal that. That is a great stream idea. Phenomenal stream idea. All right. Continuing on. One second. One second. Duck20, thanks for the 5. I'd argue Hunter x Hunter went too far the other way, that Togashi explains too much now. It's the reason why I dropped it. I do agree that Togashi over-explains at points, right? So I'm not saying that it's, like, not... there's a middle ground there somewhere, right? But I do think it skews more toward, at least in that regard, I would prefer... If it's got to be one of the two, right? I would prefer a story being overly cerebral and thought out in terms of its justifications for why characters do the X or Y, or why certain plot things make sense, and not leaving any sort of, like, being obviously almost like over meticulous in terms of trying to cover all bases, than being sloppy with it and just saying like, and not thinking through certain things, right? So you can argue that that's not necessarily Togashi's great, like, it's not like 5 out of 5, like, or 5 stars, whatever, like, oh, it's perfect, don't change anything about the way Togashi does it. I'm just saying that, like, in comparison, I would rather One Piece skew a bit more towards, like, yeah, just not being wishy-washy with, like, lots of random shit that happens, you know? But I see with what you're saying with Togashi for sure. Oh, Arvin, thanks so much, man. Holy shit. I disagree. Thank you for the 50. I disagree that Manga Morj only needs longer analytical videos. 10-minute video on Hulkenberg would be great. It's funny you bring that up, because what I had a Hulkenberg video idea that I wanted to do, actually, and I was going to talk about it on the Sunday stream. I think that there's a large underserved market for analytical content. YouTube doesn't even have good chapter views for Hunter x Hunter. You could dominate that market. I did not know that. I'm going to strongly think about that. I did not know that. Part of the reason YouTube, like, Hunter x Hunter doesn't have stuff like that, by the way, is because Hunter x Hunter, if I were to guess, Hunter x Hunter is notorious for hiatuses, so you can't really make a living as a YouTuber covering Hunter x Hunter regularly with chapter reviews and things like that, right? It would be very difficult due to the infrequency of content. But that is a really, really good point. 10-minute video on Hulkenberg would be great. I'm going to think about that, man. I will honestly think about that. I'll honestly think about that, because I do want to, like, it's fun to diversify. I love talking about One Piece, obviously, but, like, it's fun to also talk about other series, especially when you have a platform. If I'm doing it, I want to do it right. I don't want to do, Manga Morj again, where, like, I take a huge swing at it, and then I realize that it's affecting the One Piece channel in a way that I didn't foresee. And then I'm playing catch up to try and like, when the Manga Morj channel was going and Morj Unleashed was going, I was really happy initially, even with the Chainsaw Man video being age restricted, which did hurt my, excitement early on and my passion. The other factor that made me kind of stop doing the other channels was basically the One Piece channel. I had less time for that, so the quality of videos dipped during that period of time, and I had to recalibrate, get back into focusing on the One Piece channel, get the videos back to a quality that I felt happy with, viewers felt happy with, and reprioritize that. So I will think about that, though, because I think the easiest thing would be if I turn the current channel into also releasing Hunter x Hunter content occasionally or outside series content occasionally. I don't know. Dick so small I piss on my balls. Thanks for the 10. Green Bull and Fuji are based on movies where the Yakuza are samurai. Wano. Now Fuji's dressed like Ryuma. I think them plus Akainu may be descended from Wano emigrants. Akainu has sword plus Ryo pedals. Akainu being potentially from there would be very, very interesting. Wano does have some very strong characters. We should get into this. I have heard about that, by the way. That they're based on movie characters or actors that often portray samurai. All right, so I've heard about this, right? We're getting into this. Oda reveals that Aramaki, he was part of the military draft. So he was a police officer, right? I don't think, like, to me it sounds as though this is... He wait, I'm screen sharing, right? You guys can see this shit? So what I'm getting from, basically from the current shit, right? Like, the explanations of how they were drafted, it still seems like Green Bull is being portrayed negatively. Like, it's not like he's secretly a good guy, right? And it seems like Fujitora is being portrayed positively still, right? He was bought by the government for a large sum of money. See, the thing that is interesting, is known as a major war criminal when the Awa Kingdom was eradicated in war. The thing that's interesting is that, like, these are just strong guys that were lying around in the world of One Piece in general. But it sounds as though the world government kind of strong-armed them into joining, right? So they found the strongest characters in the world, like in the entire world, that were still unaffiliated, I suppose, and kind of made them, and they bullied them into joining, correct? Manny, thanks for being a Yonko to your member for 2 months. How's the gaming going? Are you going to start Elden Ring soon? I'll probably start Elden Ring pretty soon. Finally got through a big work period. So, especially post-trip, I had to catch up on work quite a bit. So, I'll probably be able to start playing Elden Ring fairly soon, in the near future. I also want to play Black Myth Wukong, but I'm going to wait for the DLC on that. Okay, so Kizaru feeding Luffy the food, right? Kizaru feeds Luffy the food. So, I'm going to share my thoughts on this, all right? Which is that, how do I put this? The biggest thing that's the takeaway from that, right, is that Kizaru was bent on, because we can debate, what this means for the power scaling, etc., for however long. My takeaway is still, like, it doesn't change much, because at the end of the day, as soon as Luffy goes giant mode, it seems like he can grab Kizaru whenever he wants. We saw him do that, and it seems like he can just kill him if he wants. You can just do that. Maybe Kizaru would put up a better fight, but at the end of the day, Luffy round 1 was toying with Kizaru. It became clear from round 2 that Luffy could have been a lot more aggressive with Kizaru from the beginning if he wanted. Yeah, Kizaru could probably try harder, or maybe his spirit's more into it or something like that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like, it just seemed, if you look at round 2, the gap between Luffy and Kizaru, it's just, like, not even close. Like, they're not even remotely the same. So, at a certain point, it's like, how much is this, how much is the author trying to suggest that Kizaru is secretly stronger than Luffy? I don't think he would write Luffy pizza diffing, zero diffing Kizaru along with Saturn at the same time if Oda secretly thinks that Kizaru is stronger than Luffy. The biggest thing that people are ignoring with this scenario is that, what does this mean about Kizaru's main intention, right? What does this mean? The biggest thing is Kizaru most definitely did not want Saturn to kill Bonnie, right? Because with Vegapunk, everything that we saw, Kizaru was trying to kill Vegapunk at the end of the day, even if he didn't want to, right? Even if he didn't want to, at the end of the day, he was going to kill Vegapunk. He killed Vegapunk, therefore we know that that is a fact. He was going to go through with that at the end of the day, right? He's still going to kill Vegapunk. He was going to carry out his duty, even if he didn't want to. The most you can say is that Kizaru didn't want to kill Vegapunk, but you can't say Kizaru was, like, throwing the fight to not kill Vegapunk because he killed Vegapunk. What we do know, though, the moment that the scene in which Kizaru ended up feeding Luffy, that was a scene where Saturn had Bonnie, right? So it was specifically to save Bonnie, because Kizaru makes clear that he does not want to hurt Bonnie. He makes that clear as he's approaching Like, Bonnie attacks him before he gets to Vegapunk, and Kizaru's like, I don't want to hurt you. He literally says that. Bonnie's a little kid. He doesn't want to hurt Bonnie. Saturn, it's only when Saturn gets Bonnie that Kizaru actually throws the game and tries to help out Luffy. He wasn't going to do that for Vegapunk, but he was going to do that for a little kid. So I don't know why that's not being discussed, but that's a large part of this whole scenario, which is he did this specifically for Bonnie, right? This doesn't say that much about how hard he was trying or not trying with the Vegapunk situation. He fed Luffy to save Bonnie. I don't know why that part's being left out of the discussion because it's the most important part of the discussion. Anyway, continuing onwards. Oda draws Jinbei at ages 60 and 80. Don't care about this dude. Wait, Jinbei looks way better. What? Why does Jinbei look way more badass down here? Doesn't he look cool? This is just the same dude. Jinbei's actually really fucking funny. Death to all humans, drag them down to the seafloor. He just turns into Horny. That's actually really, really funny. I like Jinbei's. Jinbei's is actually one of the more fun ones. Don't give a shit about this. Wait, I'm screen sharing, right? Okay. Vice Admiral. Okay, so these are these guys. We saw this. Don't care too much. All right, so what's Doll's ability? Martial arts fighter, Soul Rock. This dude. Some characters get to be vice admirals with some really ass abilities, huh? His head turns into a cannon, right? I feel like this is more like lieutenant or like petty officer type shit. Hers is good. You can turn any object or living being she surpasses in Haki any being that she surpasses in Haki into a mount. Haki has really just changed Devil Fruit, like the way I view Devil Fruits entirely. Right? Because before it was all these wacky, zany abilities that just worked. And now it's like, it's more like you need to be stronger. In so many cases, you need to be stronger than the other character in Haki for your fruit to work the way that it's supposed to work. I don't know how I feel about that because it prevents, obviously, from some fruits from just being too broken. But at the same time, like part of the fun of One Piece was just all these wacky abilities interacting with each other. But now it feels more like they're wacky abilities, but only if my power level is higher than yours, you know? So it's like Dragon Ball Z rules that counteract that, like, you know, it's just like power level shit. Like my Dragon Ball Z key or whatever, it trumps whatever. What is the dog doing? It trumps whatever ability you have. So it's complicated. I think that it makes sense, but because the fruit abilities just get too out of whack in that case, but I don't know. The Low Man, thanks for the 5. Luffy in Giant Mode grabbed Kizaru off guard both times. No. Because in both cases, Kizaru and Luffy were engaged in combat, right? The first case, you could argue that Kizaru thought he'd lost Luffy, and Luffy was, like, left behind. But here's the thing. If Luffy is literally the size of a fucking skyscraper, you do not get the excuse that you got snucked up on, right? There is no sneak attacking when you're the fucking size of Godzilla. Are you gonna fucking tell me like, Godzilla snuck up on me, how is I supposed to avoid that? No, he did not there's no sneak attacks. If Luffy's in giant form, like literally in giant form, he's like 100 meters tall or whatever, you do not get the excuse that I didn't fucking see him coming, or I didn't sense him coming, or I didn't hear him coming or something. There's no sneak attack. Luffy's not trying to catch Kizaru off guard. He's coming in hot and heavy, right? Max form, all right? Unless Kizaru's fucking deaf, blind, cannot, like, what the fuck are you supposed to say? What's wrong with this dude? There's no off guard. He's in fucking giant form, all right? If I have a window right over here, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't even have observation hockey. If fucking some being that is taller than the building next to me just, like, stomped on over and grabbed me, I'm not going to be like, that was a fucking sneak attack. I would know that that's coming, right? There's no off guard. No off guard. Second thing is the scenario that came in round 2. Kizaru and fucking they were fucking fighting Luffy and Sanji. They were already fucking fighting Luffy and Sanji. They were in that scenario. They were already fucking fighting Luffy and Sanji. Kizaru was even in like his light mode. Like he even went speed of light, I remember at that moment, and Luffy still grabbed him out of that. So I don't really know what the defense is right there, right? Are you saying like, is it a sneak attack if you're already in a 2v2, right? Like, aren't you're supposed to, or you're already engaged in the battle? I don't know what's off guard mean. Did he fucking forget a Yonko's like right there? What are you talking about? The GOAT, thanks for being a Pirate King to your member for 4 months. Kizaru and Garp probably have future sight as well. Kizaru was able to fight Snake Man, and Kaido couldn't keep up with Snake Man until he used it. Also, Garp was able to sense Shiryu attack, unlike Kobe. I do think that all the admirals have future sight, because I think it's one of those things where Oda doesn't call out when a character has a certain ability. He just has certain tells associated with said ability. So, for example, the tell that Katakuri was using future sight was that Luffy was really confused. He's like, I'm hitting this guy with haki, but why are my moves not hurting him? And then Katakuri revealed that he's using future sight to shift his body into positions that Luffy's attacks aren't even making contact with him, right? Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji all had those same scenarios happen in Marineford, and it wasn't explained. It was like, Whitebeard just stabbed Aokiji with haki, but nothing happened. It was like Marco and Vista hit Akainu with haki, but nothing happened, right? So, and I believe that Kizaru was hit with one of Whitebeard's commanders, like a mace or something like that, and even that went through him, right? So I got the sense that it's just Oda showing the same tell for a certain ability being used, which is somehow being unaffected, even despite being hit with haki, which is due to basically the user in advance shifting their body around to avoid said move, right? So I do believe that it's implied that all the admirals have haki. It's similar to how all the admirals hold up their hands to create that giant armament haki barrier against Whitebeard's attack, right? It's not explained that it's advanced armament haki, but it has the same tells as the future reveals of what advanced armament haki are, you know? Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. Vivre Card Point Black says Kizaru was struggling heavily from the beginning, and our top priority panel was literally him consoling himself. Let's get to it. Let's get to the Vivre Card. We'll get there as we get there. One second, just catching up here. Aespa comeback, thanks to the 5. Haki makes the power scale less interesting. Remember when Mr. 3 did his thing at Marineford? It felt more like a more balanced power system back then. It's complicated. I think we need to wait, because it's like, at the same time, the most interesting aspect of One Piece's abilities right now is like Gear 5th, which is a Devil Fruit. So it's complicated. Let's see how fruits are able to remain relevant the further the story goes. Daddy Smurf, thanks for the 14. People are so delusional. They act like Kizaru wasn't trying in the Luffy fight because he fed him. Kizaru clearly didn't want to kill Vegapunk and did it anyway. Luffy's still much stronger, as are all Yonko. I mean, to me, this does not move the needle. I think it's very clear that, like, the moment Shanks made Green Bull shit his pants, I think it's very clear that, on average, Yonko is stronger than Admirals. We can debate individual Admirals, whatever. This doesn't shift the needle, but let's get to it, right? We'll get to the Kizaru discussion from the Vivre Card and everything like that. We can talk about that. But the Kizaru feeding Luffy thing, that's very specific to Bonnie. Kizaru fed Luffy, like, he wasn't helping Luffy prior to that. He fed Luffy once Saturn grabbed Bonnie, and Kizaru already made clear, like, the character that he made it clear that he was trying to kill Vegapunk. We know this because he said it a million times, and then he killed Vegapunk, so we know that. But we also know that Kizaru was not trying to hurt Bonnie. We know that because Kizaru explained he is not trying to hurt Bonnie, and he did not hurt her. And then when Bonnie was captured, Kizaru fed Luffy to help protect Bonnie, right? So the only instances where Kizaru is switching sides or anything like that, or like actively not trying to hurt the other person, are related to Bonnie, right? Kizaru switched sides to help Bonnie when Bonnie was in danger. He didn't do shit to help Vegapunk. He killed Vegapunk, right? That's not really debatable. If you want to debate that Kizaru was morally conflicted about killing Vegapunk to the point that it severely debilitated his fighting ability, then that's one thing. And then if you want to debate that Kizaru was morally conflicted about killing Vegapunk to the point that it debilitated his fighting ability to such a degree that he would otherwise be stronger than Luffy in a normal state, then that is also its own other discussion, right? So you got 3 layers of discussion there, right? One, was Kizaru actually trying to succeed? He was, we know, because he fucking killed Vegapunk. 2, was Kizaru morally conflicted about killing Vegapunk? Yes, that is 100% made clear in the story. 3, did that make him weaker in the fight? That's something that we're going to talk about today. Oh, and then I guess 4 is, did that make him weaker in a fight to the point that we could say that at full health, or not full health, in a normal state, right, he would have won the fight, right? So these are 4 different points of discussion, right? 1 and 2 are pretty cut and dry. 3, which is like, was it making him a lot weaker? That's something we're going to talk about today. And 4, was it making him weaker to the point that he would have actually like kicked Luffy's ass or something like that? If he was still in his Marineford mindset, that's its own discussion. All right, moving on. I think it's a huge climb up to get to 4, just based on the 2v1 pizza diff. Like, the 2v1 pizza diff is such a ludicrous stomp. It's basically what Luffy would do to fodder, right? So it's basically like saying like I don't even know what the comparison is. It's just like, it's basically saying like that's easier than Luffy beat Axe-Hand Morgan. That's easier than Luffy beat, like, I don't know what a comparison would be. It's arguably easier than Luffy beat Bellamy, because it's like a 2v1, and like Luffy had no real, like Luffy at least put some force in that punch, right? Like, what is a relative, can somebody come up with an example of like an equal difficulty fight that Luffy had in terms of how he beat Kizaru the second time? Can someone find a similar difficulty? Because that's like the gap that we're basically going to be trying to bridge here, right? What's a similar difficulty? Like, is it literally just like fodder or something? Like, it's got to be something. Is it Hold'em? Is it like some random gifter? I don't know. Okay, we'll get to the Vivre Card. Oda shares info about the Vice Admirals. All right, Vice Admiral Hound, we're continuing. I'm going to be honest, I don't care about these guys. I'm going to move it along. This guy has a funny design, so that's kind of interesting. I don't care about these. I actually low-key wish we got some of our old favorite Vice Admirals. I think it's honestly kind of insulting that they send this squad of Vice Admirals here. Like, can we get Momonga? Can we get Onigumo in here? Can we get some serious Vice Admirals? How come we got the A-team of Vice Admirals sent over? How come we got the A-team of Vice Admirals sent over back when the Straw sucked at Enies Lobby, but then here, when the Straw are like a fucking Yonko crew, they send like the D-team of Vice Admirals. Who are these guys? Arvind Jayakumar, thank you for the 50. Holy shit, man. You really want me to get back on this shit? I promise you, I will strongly consider covering Hunter x Hunter. You say Tagashi is already working on Hunter x Hunter 424, which means we have about 20 chapters coming up. This is the perfect time to jump in with chapter reviews. I think that if you spend 1 hour Sunday making a Hunter x Hunter 4 or 5 chapter review, it'll be better than a Hunter x Hunter stream. You are possibly right. Not possibly right. You are very right, but like, I'm also managing my own workload to a degree. So this is not something I just want to jump into, because from my perspective, if I jump in and just do a Hunter x Hunter chapter 405 review or whatever and just throw it out however, right? That's me. I want to get into something prepared and with a plan, right? So I don't want to just jump into it. I think I'll still keep the stream the way it is for fun. I'm going to gauge some degree of interest and everything like that. And I would really like to be covering Hunter x Hunter as well. Okay, I would really love to be covering that. I'm going to gauge some interest. I will consider basically is the best way to if I'm doing Hunter x Hunter videos, what would be the cadence of release? Would it be chapter reviews? Would it be scripted content? Would it be released on the Morj channel? Would it be released on Manga Morj or something like that? I need to think about all those things. I would love to be covering it as well, but at the moment I don't want to overload and then overpromise, right, viewers, in terms of like, oh, we're gonna be covering this shit, and then it turns out that we can't actually do that. But thank you very, very, very much. Arvind Andrew Anami says Arvind is single-handedly carrying the Morj Hunter x Hunter agenda. Yeah, if you end up seeing a lot of Hunter x Hunter content on this channel, then you guys got to thank Arvind. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks to the 5. Getting hit by an attack isn't getting diffed. Saturn was fine, and the Vivre Card literally says that Kizaru only stayed down because his mind collapsed. No, he would have been at the bottom of the ocean floor if there was no ship there. So at that point, he wouldn't have been staying down because his mind collapsed. He would have been staying down because he's fucking dead because he's a Devil Fruit user, right? Keep in mind, Kizaru got very, very lucky. Like, hell, I could argue that Luffy was very kind, and specifically threw, like, if we're speculating on people's mindsets, maybe Luffy fucking threw Kizaru onto the ship instead of the ocean because Luffy's a nice guy and he's in a good mood. You know? Like, you can speculate a ton of shit, right? But one thing we know for sure is that Kizaru is very lucky that he's not at the bottom of the ocean floor. Now, let me read the Vivre card, right? Because if you want to argue that he stayed down because of Vegapunk and everything like that, and that's what the Vivre card said, that's totally fine. But at the same time, we know that he's lucky to have been conscious whatsoever, because if Luffy had chosen to chuck him into the ocean instead, then he just dies, right? And then we have, like, two admirals, you know? Let's keep going. Oda explains the biological terms for the long arms. The elbow... Oh, this is some stupid shit that I skipped. All right. Oda reveals info about sword members. I don't really care about their ages and stuff. It is good to confirm all these guys. Can I ask this? Why do we not get more stuff about Helmeppo? Why do we not get more stuff about Helmeppo? Why don't we get more stuff about Helmeppo? What is this? Like, why isn't Helmeppo being treated as, like, Kobe's guy, you know? Who's Prince Groose? Why is Prince Groose upstaged Helmeppo in the story? Why, like, how is Prince Groose upstaged Helmeppo in his story? What is this? Why is this happening? I don't get it. Oda explains the relationship between Drake and Kujaku and Groose, as well as Groose's origin. Kujaku and Groose are juniors, slightly younger than Drake, but they still act as if they're from the same generation. Also has asked if Groose is actually a prince, but he's not. Okay. He's just from a rich family. Alright, so he's like a noble type. Alright. Oda explains the reason why Luffy's clothes expand when he turns giant in Gear 5th. Look, pay attention. If he turned gigantic and his clothes got ripped, wouldn't... Alright, if he turned gigantic and his clothes got ripped, wouldn't... Alright. I just made sure that that's what he said. That's all for this SBS. Thank you all for tuning in. I fucking hate the Japanese. Alright. Like, who's asking this shit? Who's asking this shit? Why is this even a question? At the very least, this is the one devil fruit where it straight up makes sense that the clothes change with you because Luffy warps reality to some degree. Of course he's going to keep his clothes the same, right? All right. Oda reveals where the Gorosei get their... I don't know what's wrong with them, man. They don't even appreciate it. They don't even appreciate being able to send messages to Oda. They don't even value it. They treat it like dirt. They have no value for what they have. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. They have no value. They have no sense of, they're so fucking spoiled, it's insane. They're like, oh, we get access to like the world's greatest storyteller. We can ask him any question we like. Hey, what if Luffy's dick fell out or something? Hey. It was like, my readers are I love my readers so much. Basim El Madawi, thanks for the 10. I think the fights are similar to comic book fights. If the outcome to a fight is plausible, Oda will be satisfied. A kind could be written to be above Kaido if the story needs a character to beat Kaido. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I think the difference between comic book fights is that they're all written by different authors. So all the authors have different visions of like what logically makes sense, right? Same way if you ask any two One Piece fans, like, hey, would it make sense if like Garp beat fucking who do I say that's not controversial? Would it make sense if who do I say that's not controversial? Would it make sense if Garp beats Blackbeard, right? If I asked two different people, would it make sense if Garp beats Blackbeard? Like, somebody might write it one way, somebody might write another. I think it's a little bit different when there's one author, because you're right that most likely it goes a lot with, like, what they would want in the narrative to make sense. But as the narrative unfolds, some logical trains kind of start to play out where it's like, okay, so I'm saying, like, these characters I'm saving for later and building up for a bigger role and bigger wins and stuff, they are stronger than these earlier characters, right? Here's an official preview of 2 of the 10 special questions. Okay, now we're at the special questions, right? All right, where's the special question? Okay, Question 1. Question 1. Luffy's using Gear 5th. Luffy takes out things like goggles or baseball helmet out of his Hakuroma cloud scarf. Please tell us how that works. It's a gateway for... Okay, yep, I remember this one. It basically establishes that you can kind of like dream up whatever he wants to dream up, and it'll be reality. Pocket Monster, thanks for the 10. Do you think Seraphim have giant/Buccaneer DNA, or are they just Lunarians? I think that they have some degree. I think they either have Buccaneer DNA, because they're so big, right? And I think they actually might have giant DNA, right? Because gigantification has been such a focus in the story so far, and that was even literally what was being experimented on in Punk Hazard for some time. Like, we literally gigantification has been a topic for all of the New World, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the Seraphim have some giant DNA. Flip side is Kuma. Vegapunk was also able to get some DNA from Kuma and stuff like that, so he might be using Buccaneer stuff. But I feel like size-wise, they're so big, it might be more so Giants than Buccaneers, you know? Jolly D. Joestar, thanks to the 2. The clothes question was asked before, too. God damn it, man. God damn it. Beanie Head says it's not their fault Oda picks them, lol. He can't pick them if they don't submit them, right? They should just realize that if they're submitting some stupid-ass question, 1, it is likely that Oda will pick it, and 2, that means that we're being robbed of some actual good questions. Only ask good questions. That's all I ask them. They're so ungrateful. It's crazy. Monte, thanks for the 20. Random, but I was thinking fatherhood and its absence might continue to be a big theme in the last saga and its backstories. Garp, Dragon, Luffy, Roger, Shanks, Buggy, Usopp, Yasopp, etc. And Garp being captured might help set it off. That is an interesting point. So actually, funnily enough, this is not just to talk about the bundles or whatever, but the people who do bundles, right, like who purchase the poster bundles and everything like that, you get to join a happy hour with me once a month, like an actual online happy hour, Zoom happy hour. So we actually did that 2 days ago on Wednesday. And on that happy hour, that same topic was brought up, with it potentially being a big theme in Elbaf. Like the idea of fatherhood, especially if Usopp ends up coming back and, or not Usopp, Yasopp ends up coming back. Shanks is kind of like a father figure to Luffy. Loki having killed his father, right? That was something that some interesting ideas that were brought up there. So, yeah, just the fact that you're bringing it up as well, that's interesting. It seems like different people are noticing that. Arvind, holy shit! Thank you so much. This is all to push me to do Hunter x Hunter content. Thank you very, very much, man. I'm gonna feel bad if I don't eventually one day do it now, but I cannot in good conscience promise that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, thanks for the 10 memberships, and everybody in chat say thanks as well. Michael B, N8 Owen, Black Sheep W, Roll number 4, The Lowman, Dan127, Angel X, Danielson Thomas, Andrew Baker, Jesus Cuervo. Everybody say thanks. Seriously, this really, really fucking appreciate and I understand where this is coming from, the encouragement to do Hunter x Hunter content. I got you, man. I feel you. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 200 real quick. All right, I'm going to say this right now. This was the question that hurt me the most. This was the question that hurts me the most. Sabo has been training. Sabo has been training. Sabo's been training. If we cut back to Sabo, and this dude who previously was getting like low diffed by Fujitora, who was barely trying, and whose best feat was defeating Jesus Burgess, after taking like God knows how many chapters it took, but he eventually beat Jesus Burgess. If Sabo is now strong, like fucking, like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, when we cut back, then Sabo is, like, as strong as, like comparable to, like, Zoro, Law, stuff like that. And if he's stronger than them, I'm gonna be so fucking sad. That character, I don't know. Fucking rip-off Ace, man. Doesn't even have Advanced Conqueror's Haki. God damn it, man. God damn it. Okay. All right. Has Dragon ever lived together with Luffy? Yeah, this is the type of brilliant questions that these guys ask. At least not during a period that Luffy can remember. Actually, that's an interesting question and answer. That I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Not during a period Luffy can remember. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I like this question. I like this question. This sheds some light on Dragon. It makes him seem like less of a bad dad, for sure. Definitely makes him seem like less of a bad dad. And leaving him in the care of like a grandfather. It's not like he fucking abandoned Luffy. He just left him in the care of like his grandfather, which isn't the craziest thing in the world, right? I think the crazier thing was Garp then like Dragon realized that he would be, you know, hunted by the world government and everything, so he was like, okay, I'll have my son be raised by, you know, my grandfather, who's also the most renowned marine in the world, like a very safe place to be raised, right? And then that said grandfather decided that he did not want to raise Luffy, and instead gave Luffy to be raised by a random thief or bandit or mountain bandit. And the only times he showed up were to physically abuse Luffy. So, if anything, Garp's the bad parental figure, right? Isn't Garp the bad parental figure? What's going on, Arvind? Holy shit. What the fuck? You gifted 20 memberships? Holy shit. All right, everybody. Everybody shouts in the chat for Arvind. If you just got a membership, you need to put out an emote in the chat for Arvind. Everybody test out your new emotes. I'm not going to read out everybody's name, but Nick, Lewis Buchanan, Zyros, Dre, Ace Comeback, Mirrors, Strodcaps, Mudbutter, Timts 12, Angel Reese, Bismuth, Cody Long. All of y'all who just got memberships from Arvind, I just need you to put some emotes in the chat for Arvind. And everybody say thanks. Blackbeard's ship is known as the Saber of Zebek. One second. Okay. Guess we're good now. All right. Continuing on. That's a throwaway question about Zebek. Yeah, this is basically saying that Shanks learned it from observing Roger. No one in the Roger Pirates has been able to imitate it, so Shanks' talent is truly inspiring. Interesting. So, scales Shanks above Prime Really at the very least? Probably, unless Really had his own thing. But I think most people think Shanks is above Prime Really. Manny, thanks for the 10. I get the feeling Japanese fans do ask good questions. It's just Oda chooses not to answer them for whatever spoiler reasons, but who knows. Also, Oda confirmed Weirdo in York Vivre Card. What? Now I'm curious. Now I'm very curious. All right, here we go. We get to the big shit. Crowns equals 10 stars. A star is equal to around 100 million berry. What? Did I read that wrong? 100 million berry? Yeah, okay. Fleet Admiral is 5 billion berry. Admirals, 3 billion berry. Vice Admirals, 5 stars. So Vice Admirals are being 500 million. 500 million berry for those bums? The Vice Admirals? You're telling me, like keep in mind, Luffy and Cross Guild. I don't even know what to say about Cross Guild. These people are they're fucking. I guess you need to give some little extra incentive to make people go after Marines or whatever, but like, keep in mind, Luffy and Law got 500 million berry each at the end of Dressrosa, right? They got 500 million berry each at the end of Dressrosa, right? This was after defeating fucking Doflamingo. In that same arc, Bartolomeo defeated a Vice Admiral Maynard, in the bathroom. 0 diff in like 2 minutes, right? So Vice Admiral Maynard is equal in value, according to CrossGuild, to like Dressrosa Luffy and Dressrosa Law. Akainu is the big deal here, right? 5 billion. That is a huge deal. Scaling off of bounty is not a thing in general. Obviously, it's not a consistent power scaling thing. I don't think this means that Akainu is just stronger than every Yonko, but it is hyping up Fleet Admiral as a big deal. At the end of the day, being Fleet Admiral, he is in charge of the most powerful military force in the entire world, the Marine Force. Like, it's a huge deal, right? He's the general of the entire Marines, right? That's significantly more important than being the emperor of like, or like the captain of any pirate fleet, right? So significantly higher importance in Akainu, matches the bounty. Like, it's essentially like capturing the general of the world's largest military organization by far, right? So it makes sense with Akainu. I'm not going to use this to upscale, downscale him. I still have Akainu very high up in the ranks. As you guys can see, I think narratively he's going to be very important. I do think that, yeah, like at the end of the day, though, we know that this isn't. I believe Akainu's stronger now because I think that he may have developed Conqueror's Haki or something like that, right? At the same time, you know, we know that pre-time skip, like, we know that the bounty itself probably more so reflects the status of Fleet Admiral, because we saw the difference in terms of like Admiral versus Fleet Admiral in Aokiji versus Akainu, and they were essentially the same thing, right? So it's more so the status and the amount that you command, it seems like, is the bigger difference here. I view this bounty thing as separate from Akainu's actual strength. I think his strength likely grew, in my opinion, because of what he's set to be in the narrative. So I imagine he's going to have Conqueror's Haki and stuff like that. But I think it's cool that he's got a really, really big bounty to reflect his status and the role that he has. Curious about the Oda York thing, because I've not read through the Vivre cards. JWP, thanks for the 5. The Dragon probably saw what the Marines did after Roger's death, looking for Ace. His logic really does make sense. Also, I think you missed my other super. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, man. I definitely don't want to miss your stuff. I'm so sorry about that. Hold on, let me see. I'm really sorry about that. Let's see. Let me scroll back to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Oh, JWP, that was about Hunter x Hunter. Oh, wait, talking about the low man. Okay, I missed a couple people. Hold on, I'm sorry. I missed a few people. I'm sorry. Hold on. I missed several people. Did I respond to Daddy Smart? People are so delusional. They act like Kizaru wasn't trying in the Luffy fight because he fed him. Kizaru clearly didn't want to kill. No, we covered this. Dick so small, I piss on my balls. Thanks for the 5. When a person can't act without feeling guilt, they are their weakness. Gone fall. That's a good point. But I know I still think it's fair to say that Kizaru, like, when your feelings are conflicted, that could affect, like, that's more of like a reprimand for feeling a certain way, right? But at the same time, we're just trying to figure out, like, was Kizaru at his best self in the Luffy fight? And I think most people would say not necessarily mentally at his best self. It's pretty clear. English 1D1, thanks for the 5. I think Haki and Devil Fruit acts in a sliding scale depending on the fruit/Haki. Bluegrass's fruit may be more susceptible to Haki than others. Mr. Threes is less, etc. Yeah, I mean, like, some things that are just straight up, like, buffs, like, you know, like Van Augur's fruit is still useful. Like, teleporting is still useful. Jesus Burgess being physically stronger is still useful, right? It's things that seem to, like, hard affect other characters. Like, let's say, that fruit, or like Doc Q's fruit and stuff, like, have a hard effect on others and just, like, alter their bodies or something like that in some way. Those seem to be the most affected by Haki. The low man, thanks for the 2. Kaido got jump rope diffed. That's true, but the fight obviously didn't end right after that, right? And with Kaido, we know objectively he was in his weakest form or whatever, right? Whereas with Luffy and Kizaru, Luffy pizza diffed Kizaru and then threw him into the ocean. Kizaru was lucky that there happened to be a ship there because of a Buster Call that was called, but otherwise Kizaru just dies, right? Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. Getting hit by an attack isn't getting diffed. Saturn was fine, and the Vivre card literally says Kizaru only staying down because his mind collapsed. So we'll get to the Vivre card. But, you know, if, again, all I can say is that if the ship wasn't there, Kizaru just died. So he only stayed down because he was allowed to stay down because he was thrown onto a boat. You could put it this way. Luffy threw him onto a boat, and so Kizaru was allowed to live, right? Saturn was fine, that's true, but Saturn's fine from literally everything. So I don't think the Gorse are a good example there, right? JWP, thanks for the 10. If you make Hunter x Hunter content, my preference would be analytical videos about something you're interested in, whether it be a character analysis, theory, etc. Chapter review is definitely fun during streams, in my opinion. Yeah, like, I don't know if I would enjoy doing a review of every single chapter, because I would rather prefer to tackle more specific topics. I would say that, what do you call? I have one Hunter x Hunter analysis video out, which is already covering a lot of the themes that the Succession War arc seems to be about so far. So you guys can check that out for sure. And it's on Manga Morj. Starbright, thanks for the 5. Yo, Warj, if you want something with all the pros you listed for Oda put in a series that's not held back by a weekly grind, read Stormlight Archive. Yeah, everybody says that if you like One Piece, you'll love Brandon Sanderson stuff. So I've had that on my list of things to read as like actual novels for the longest time. Whether I ever get to actually reading books again, who knows? But if I do, that'll be number 1 on my list. Jay Cycle, thanks for your first super ever. Thanks to the 5. Not to beat a dead horse, but 2v1 pizza diffing a guy who just killed his best friend and wants you to win does not impress me. Kizaru didn't want Luffy to win. That's straight up false. He did not want Luffy to win. That is actually something that we know for a fact. You can see that because if you get to the end of their fight, right? If you get to the end of their fight, what chapter their fight in? Right? Their fight ended up maybe something like here. Was it 1094? God damn it. Hold on. Loading. Kizaru didn't want Luffy to win. Because if we get to their fight, right? Let's see. How did the fight end? Or fight round 1 at the very least, right? So this should establish... This establishes Kizaru's mental state, right? This isn't good, right? It is pretty cut and dry. Luffy hits Kizaru with White Star Gun. Kizaru thinks this isn't good. This is not dialogue. This is internal monologue, right? What does internal monologue mean? It means what you are thinking inside your head, right? If Kizaru wanted this to happen, you know what Kizaru would be saying right here? He would be saying, this is good. But he's saying this isn't good, which means that this is not something that Kizaru wants to be happening to him, right? So no, we don't need to go into... I think people are trying to turn a complicated situation into something very black and white, right? Did Kizaru personally want to kill Vegapunk? No. He was conflicted. He did not want to kill Vegapunk, right? Did Kizaru want Luffy to beat him? No. We know this because Kizaru explicitly says this is not good when Luffy is defeating him, right? Did Kizaru choose to actually throw the fight to save Bonnie? Yes. Kizaru fed Luffy when Bonnie's life was at risk because Kizaru made clear a few chapters ago that he specifically, while he's trying to kill Vegapunk, he doesn't want to kill Vegapunk, but he is trying to kill Vegapunk, right? Like, we can follow more than one premise here, right? Kizaru doesn't want to kill Vegapunk, but he is still trying to kill Vegapunk. Kizaru does not think it's good to lose to Luffy. Kizaru, however, does say he is not trying to kill Bonnie. He tells Bonnie as much when Bonnie tries to attack him. When Saturn has Bonnie captive, that is the only moment that Kizaru switches sides and actually tries to throw things for his side by feeding Bonnie. Or by feeding Luffy, right? After this scenario is over and Bonnie is no longer in danger, Kizaru goes back to trying to defeat Luffy and kill Vegapunk. We know this because Kizaru then kills Vegapunk. Is Kizaru then devastated by killing Vegapunk? Yes. All of these things are true. None of these things make it very black and white in terms of Kizaru threw the fight to let Luffy win, or Kizaru wanted Luffy to beat him, right? None of that is true, right? It makes things a more complicated scenario. We also know that Luffy did turn Kizaru into a pizza and could have killed him very easily, and that was made very, very blatantly apparent, even in a 2v1, right? So we're going to take all of these things together, as well as the information we're about to read in the Vivre Card. We're going to compress it together and come to a conclusion. All right, moving on. Moving on. All right. Tyler says, love how Morj acts like Chad is stupid while ignoring how Luffy threw Kizaru the first time and nothing happened and passed it off as Kizaru got lucky. What are you talking about? Luffy threw Kizaru. Do you think these are the same Luffy? These are two very different Luffys, right? We know that Luffy has different states depending on how serious he is. The first time around, he was joking around, right? Second time around, Luffy grabbed Kizaru and actually squeezed him. He could have squeezed him the first time. He didn't. Why? Because Luffy's laughing. Ha ha he he. He's having a good time. Second time, Luffy's angry. Right? This is very, very clear. This is very, very, like, this isn't even reading comprehension, because, like, reading comprehension involves, like, text and stuff, right? This is just basic, like, being able to, I don't know, like, it's just human facial expressions, which is something that most people should be able to pick up on and understand probably by the time they're, like, 5 years old, right? If we take a look, right, so this is Luffy Kizaru number 1, right? Right? So this is when Luffy grabbed Kizaru the first time. And we're going to compare this to Luffy grabbing Kizaru second time. I think it's this chapter, I forget. Okay, here we go. So first of all, can you tell me the difference between what happens when Luffy grabs Kizaru here? Can anyone tell me? Let's spot the difference. Somebody spot the difference. When Luffy grabs Kizaru here, right, does Luffy squeeze? Yes or no? Does Luffy squeeze? Does Luffy squeeze? One, is Luffy happy here or angry when he's grabbing Kizaru? And is Luffy happy here or angry? Right? Can anybody tell me? I would like to know, right? What's the difference, right? Are these two different Luffys? Is Luffy in the same, like, basic, like, not even reading comprehension, this is just basic, like, I don't know, basic emotional intelligence, being able to recognize expressions, tone, etc., right? Is Luffy in the same mood here, right here, when he's saying woo and having fun, ah ha ha, look at him fly? Is that the same Luffy as when he's saying, you guys aren't going anywhere? Is this the same person, right? Not literally the same person. You understand what I'm saying? Is Luffy in the same mood? Or could it be possible that Luffy is actually angry here and is actually trying to hurt Kizaru here, whereas here he literally does not give a fuck and does not actually try throwing a serious punch at Kizaru until Saturn shows up on the island? Which is correct? Which is correct? 'Cause this is fairly black and white. If you genuinely think that this scenario and Luffy's state right here is the same thing as right here, I do not know what to say. I would also add that if you think that Kizaru just being drawn to cough up blood here is just like a random choice by Oda and doesn't actually mean anything compared to Luffy not squeezing right here, right? Then I also don't know what to say. Did Luffy squeeze in round 1? That's my only question. Did Luffy squeeze in round 1? Let's start with that. Did Luffy squeeze in round 1? Let's see. Okay. Let's start with the basics. We're just going to start with pure facts, like undebatable things, right? I do not see Luffy squeezing Kizaru, even though he easily could have, as is established in round 2. Okay, so I'm interested because there are genuinely people that are voting yes here. Please point me to a panel if you're voting yes. Please point me to a panel, because we're going to break this down. We're going to break this down, all right? Please point me to a panel. Please point me to a panel. Is there a panel of Luffy squeezing, right? Tyler says the squeeze makes a difference. That's your basis? No, my basis is literally Luffy's mood between the before and after. This is after Kizaru kills Vegapunk, and this is before, right? And I'm basing it on the mood and the tone and Luffy's established state of mind being clearly a lot more sinister and serious round 2, right? I'm using the squeezing as a more tangible point of evidence, which is the first time Luffy had Kizaru helpless, correct? Has Kizaru helpless, does not choose to squeeze him, tosses him away, thinks it's funny. Second time, Luffy squeezes him, indicates Luffy's actually trying to hurt Kizaru the second time around, whereas was not trying to hurt him the first time around, correct? Any debate towards those points? Any debate towards these points? I would love to see an actual argument. because we're going to be going through this once we get to Kizaru's Vivre card, right? All right, I think this is fairly cut and dry. If I'm not seeing any arguments for Luffy being serious round 1, we're going to move on to the next point. I'm last chance. Give me some example, some point to prove identical scenarios. One, Luffy clearly not trying to hurt Kizaru, focused on having fun. Second time around, Luffy making it very clear that he is trying to hurt Kizaru, right? So the first fight is essentially irrelevant. Luffy's having fun until Saturn shows up, then Luffy throws a serious punch. Second fight, Luffy's not playing around, squeezes Kizaru from the beginning, tosses him into the ocean. Kizaru's lucky there's a ship there. It's possible Luffy's being merciful by throwing Kizaru onto the boat, but ultimately, no boat, Kizaru dies, right? All right, we good? No dissenting voices that I can see, no dissenting arguments. We're going to move on. We're moving on. I don't want to hear this discussion again. We're not doing this discussion again once the Kizaru Vivre card comes up. We can talk about other aspects of it, but certainly not Luffy's state of mind. Luffy's state of mind was very clear. Round 1, not taking it serious, having fun, not really hurting Kizaru. Round 2, actually trying to hurt Kizaru from the get-go. That's as black and white as it gets. Squeezing, not squeezing, right? Angry, having fun. Black and white. No debate there. Luffy's state of mind is very clear, right? Kizaru's state of mind, how strong he was, how close he was to his full strength, that's what we're going to debate. Luffy's, we're not going to get into that, all right? Luffy's is very black and white. The second round is when he was serious. All right, continuing on. Question 7. What job does Aokiji have? Okay, this is interesting because people argue that Aokiji can't be stronger than Blackbeard because Aokiji is, like, Blackbeard's his captain, right? It was made clear in that chapter, though, that Aokiji only joined Blackbeard more so as an alliance. He's technically, like, Blackbeard's his captain, but he doesn't really do everything that Blackbeard says. It's for convenience. So it's not a traditional captain-subordinate relationship, right? His actions have still caused casualties, so I'm interested in where Aokiji's story goes. Because I do view Aokiji as one of the more morally great characters in One Piece. World Military Draft. Yeah, I thought this was interesting because it does basically establish that, like, the Marines kind of forcibly force the strongest characters to join the military, which means that there's not going to be other admiral level characters just lying around at this point, right? All right? Right? Like, these are got to be the strongest guys that basically are yet to be part of an affiliated force, right? And then the Marines scooped them up. All right, continuing on. Arvind J. Kumar says, could show your support for Hunter by liking the stream. Let's get the stream to 200 likes. That's going to show Hunter support. GDN, thanks for the 2. Kizaru only stabbed Vegapunk after Saturn did. I don't know what that means. Did Kizaru kill Vegapunk or not? JWP, thanks for the 5. I love scaling, but the agenda stuff this week has been unreal. I'm not coping because I don't think Akainu equals Roger, bruh. Admiral's got a buff, but relax, lol. I don't know exactly in terms of, like, how much we're supposed to mean bounty equals what, but I do think Akainu is going to be a big deal. I don't think Akainu's bounty being 5 billion means that Akainu is on par with Roger and Whitebeard in their prime or anything like that, but I do think it suggests that Akainu is supposed to be a big deal in the narrative. All right, continuing on. Please tell us about the Rocky Point. I thought that this was interesting, but I get why he didn't put it in the story because I think that I'm of the opinion that there's some things in the One Piece world that it's okay for Oda to lore drop and not expand upon, you know? And just, like, let it exist as interesting incidents that sometimes we just need to know the result of it, but it doesn't change that much. Like, this doesn't change that much for any of the 3 characters, right? Like, Blackbeard, Law, and Kobe, it's all in line with the 3 characters. It's not some huge thing that we really need to unveil for any of them, and it doesn't seem like it has any particular mystery to it. So I'm cool with it just being, like, stories that aren't broken down in full context in the One Piece world, like, or in the One Piece story. So I think this is a good place that, like, SBSs and, like, these type of Q&As exist for. All right, continuing on. For Garling. St. Garling fought the pirates of God Valley. Incident, but how strong is he really? Oh, he's strong, and there's a reason for that strength. Okay, he's strong, and there's a reason for that strength. All right, that's good to know. That's... I think we could have guessed that. All right, let's get to the Vivre cards. All right, continuing on. 1 second. Arvind J. Kumar, thanks a lot for the 20. Holy shit, man. Thank you so much. Seriously. Hi, guys. I discovered a super underrated content creator on YouTube. His channel hasn't uploaded in a while, but maybe if we go sub, then he'll post again. Link in reply. Okay, so he's talking about Manga Morj. I will link Manga Morj here. I'll link Manga Morj. Thanks, Arvind. I appreciate it. It's called... I'll link Manga Morj for those of you who are interested. It does have a Hunter x Hunter analysis video in there. It's like a light... No, I would say it's a... I haven't seen other videos analyzing the themes of the Succession War yet, so I think it's a good one for breaking that down. At least some of the primary themes of the Succession War. So hold on. I think in retrospect the thumbnail should be better, so maybe I'll change the thumbnail in the future. But I think that this is a pretty good early analysis for Succession War stuff. Here, I'll post this. I'll pin it. There we go. But yeah, feel free to go sub to Manga Morj if you're interested. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. By the way, Morj, I don't think Arthur has the flavor text for Kizaru's Vivre Card. Okay, so who does? Who am I looking for? Isaiah Davis, thanks for the 5. To be honest, I don't buy the idea that Kizaru didn't want to hurt Bonnie. He kicked her into a laser field, then as stated, was dangerous enough to kill Luffy. Yeah, but then we know that he tried to save Bonnie from Saturn, right? That was the moment that Kizaru fed Luffy. So that was the only moment that he was actively trying to go against his side, right? That's the only moment in the conflict that he's actively trying to go against his side. The other moments, he's all trying to kill Vegapunk. Succeeding in killing Vegapunk, etc. But he does make clear that his goal is not like the difference is he could have killed Bonnie right there, like actually killed her, right? Just like murdered her right there, right? Him disposing of her is very different than actively trying to kill her the way that he did with Vegapunk, because we saw what Kizaru does when he actually just wants to kill you, which is he kills you. All right, let's get to it. Vivre Cards, timeline of Vegapunk's life, blah, 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 39 years ago. Can you guys tell me right now what are the interesting ones? I want to do the interesting ones. And we'll get to Kizaru if that's a separate source. Discovery of Bloodline Elements is published. Okay. When does he eat his fruit and start becoming a juicer? When does he start juicing and pretending to be the world's strongest man or smartest man? Damn, the clones are only... Okay, interesting. Clones are very recent. It's 0 years ago, started a worldwide transmission after Kizaru sent him into cardiac arrest. Alright. The Laboratory of Peace is a funny reveal. So why was he arrested by the world government? Who perceived their research as dangerous? So I guess that's not elaborated on. Original sketches for Vegapunk. So it was always going to be something kind of goofy. Okay. He always wanted him to have a huge head. I'm not super interested in these individual things. 24, blah, blah, blah. Who said that Yorks is kind of crazy? I'm curious about what that is. However, lets York eat most of his meals. Okay. This fucking Pythagoras is... Can we agree that out of the Vegapunks, Pythagoras is clearly the worst? Like the most throwaway of all the Vegapunks? Can we agree on that? This is clearly the worst of all the Vegapunks, right? I literally forgot this dude's name when I first saw him right here. I was like, this is the one that's not Atlas. I see. All right, and why did... I don't get it. All right. Okay. Atlas. Atlas is supposed to be 16? Okay. Grand Line, Egghead. Oh, so... Oh, shit. Okay, so... Alright, so initially Atlas was also supposed to be like another sexy Vegapunk. So initially all the Vegapunk women were supposed to be like bombshells, right? because she was always like that. Atlas was always like this, or supposed to be like this, and then he decided against it at the last minute. York is 16? What the hell? I'm so confused. Is that what you guys were talking about? Is that the big reveal around York? That is, I don't fully understand him. They have things different over there in Japan. We're just gonna move on. All right, let's find out some more information about Rob Lucci, the massacre weapon. JWP, thanks for the 5. Insane that some rare Admiral-level characters exist in random kingdoms, especially outside the Grand Line. Also wild that they just forced them to join. I'm going to say, Loki, I feel like that is an argument for Yonko over Admirals. Just because I don't think that Yonko-level characters... I mean, Loki might be the only one that we've seen, right? I think in general, it's unlikely. And like Loki exists on Elbaf, the strongest nation of the strongest race, right? I don't think if the Marine... I don't think it would be even possible for the Marines to just scour the world and find some random Yonko-level characters that they could then force to enlist in the military. I don't think that that's possible, personally. I think the fact that you can just find more admirals at the end of the day is not a good argument. Like, I think that hurts the admirals equal to Yonko argument. I do think, I've always said, I think that some admirals can be interlapping with some Yonko. Like, I think, again, like I said, Aokiji, I think, can beat Blackbeard, personally, which is one of the more controversial opinions. But I'm just, like, and I think Kizaru versus Kaido and stuff, like, I think that stuff is close. I just hold Luffy in very high regard now. I think when Luffy really tries in Gear 5th, as far as we've seen, anytime Luffy gets serious in Gear 5th, like, he was joking around in Gear 5th the entire Kaido fight, then he said, it's time to end this. Then he got serious, did Bajrangan. That's the only section of the Gear 5th fight that he's serious against Kaido. I think, okay, how do I say this? Let me clarify this, because I think a lot of people feel that you can, okay, go back through my Twitter to when Luffy versus Kizaru, that stuff first happened, and the pizza dip first happened. Because I think a lot of people actually mistake this, because people are like, if you argue Luffy over Kizaru, or that Luffy low-diffed Kizaru and stuff like that, you're arguing Yonko versus... Yonko way stronger than Admirals and stuff, right? No. I think Kizaru is probably... Like, I think Kizaru versus Big Mom, that's a discussion. I think Kizaru versus Kaido, I think Kaido probably wins, but I think it's, like, still a hard fight for Kaido, right? My argument has always been that Gear 5 Luffy, full health, actually trying, like not goofing around and stuff, every time Gear 5 Luffy has actually gotten angry and serious, he has stomped whoever he's in front, right? The moment that he actually took the Kaido fight serious and was like, I'm going to end this, and he stopped doing joke attacks and he just pulled out an island-sized fist, the fight was over. You could say that Kaido was very tired, etc., but so was fucking Luffy, and it was established that Luffy was more tired, right? And Kaido was not holding up the island when Luffy defeated him with Bajrangan, right? That's my argument. My argument is also just like, you can see between round 1 Luffy versus Kizaru to round 2 Luffy versus Kizaru. Luffy was having more fun doing more gag attacks. The second time around, he just went fucking giant mode and actually fought aggressively from the beginning. He fucking fucked up Kizaru and Saturn at the same time. Don't take my views on Luffy versus Kizaru as my views on Admirals versus Yonko. My argument has always been Luffy in Gear 5 actually trying seriously is above Kaido and Big Mom. Shanks is the only Yonko that I think is a discussion at this point, right? But I think Luffy in Gear 5 is clearly above Marineford Whitebeard, clearly above Kaido, clearly above Big Mom. Like, when Luffy's actually going serious in Gear 5th, not using gag attacks, just straight up pulling out the Bajrangan, straight up, like, actually using his strongest moves and stuff like that. That's my thought process. So I think people use this too much as a proxy war to say, oh, if you're arguing that Kizaru did poorly against Luffy or whatever, you think Yonko versus Admirals. No, it's not about Yonko versus Admirals. Luffy is the Pirate King, the future Pirate King. Joy Boy reincarnated, right? He is not your typical Yonko. All right, he is fucking the wielder of the legendary Nika ability. Like, this is totally different, right? Totally fucking different, right? Different category. All right, this is the main character, right? Yes, he's going to be stronger than the fucking Admirals at the end of the day, right? You can save your Yonko. You want to debate Kizaru versus Big Mom, Kizaru versus Kaido, whatever. That's its own separate debate. Luffy, if he's going hard in Gear 5th, if he's actually using serious moves, if he's not using gag moves, but he's actually abusing what he can do with Gear 5th, which is just like insane raw power, he stomped Kaido the moment he used a serious attack, which was Bajrangan, and he fucking pizza diffed Saturn and Kizaru at the same time the moment he actually got angry in Gear 5th. You can see such a difference in Gear 5th Luffy's like ability usage between what mood, based on what mood he's in. Because again, just compare what Luffy was doing in round 1 against Kizaru. Like, he didn't even squeeze Kizaru when he had him in his hand. He didn't even squeeze. He was fucking having a fun time. He was throwing him around. Same thing against Kaido first time around. He doesn't need to be running around doing all these like silly spinny attacks and stuff like that. Just fucking pull out a giant ass fist and try and fucking beat the shit out of him, right? When Luffy's actually angry and trying to finish a fight in Gear 5th, it looks very different. That has always been my argument. So let's just continue on. But I want to stop the Yonko versus Admirals discussion because it's just irrelevant to this topic. All right, let's continue on. All right, let's continue on. Where are we at? Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. I have a tweet link with the rods for the Kizaru Vice Vivre Card, and you can put it through GPT. There are translations, but not as credible as Arthur. What about Pew? Does Pew have a translation? There's got to be other translations that are good. I don't want to do GPT personally. Hattori, blah blah blah. Wait, no, we were at Lucci. Okay, now his Vivre Card seems like dumb stuff. Oh, she's got a bat fruit. I thought she was a fucking vampire. Okay, that makes sense. But then aren't there other people in, like... Didn't we see a fucking vampire race with, like, teeth and stuff like that? I guess I'm confused. At Lulusia. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Is there some elaboration here? No. Wait, what abilities does Lucci have? Yeah, armament observation. Alright. J-Cycle says he stomped Kaido when he used Bajrangan. LMAO may as well say Lucci stomped Lucci and Slabi when he used Gatling. No, but the difference is, was Luffy serious against Lucci from the beginning of the fight? Yes. He was serious against Lucci from the beginning of the fight the entire way through. Was Luffy in Gear 5th serious against Kaido from the beginning? No, he literally wasn't. You can literally see the shift in attitude once Luffy says, let's end this, and he switches to Bajrangan. Before that, he's laughing, goofing around, having a good time. After he says, we're going to end this, that's when he pulls out Bajrangan, and then he's serious and angry during that section of the fight. This isn't a weird argument. This is like fairly clearly observable through any of Luffy's fights. There's a big difference when Luffy's actually serious versus when he's having a good time. Gear 5th skews his personality to screw around more than usual, right? Can everybody acknowledge this? Gear 5th skews Luffy's personality to have more fun and be in a better mood and take things less seriously. Can we all agree on that? Right? However, what we have also observed is that Luffy, when he does finally get angry enough or serious enough in Gear 5th, he tends to do a lot more serious attacks and is a lot stronger than he was previously, right? Again, like, you can just look at the two major fights he's had. Round 1 against Kizaru, he grabs Kizaru, doesn't even squeeze him or anything, throws him away, he has fun for the rest of the fight. Round 2 against Kizaru, angry Luffy, grabs him, actually squeezes him, pizza diffs him, done. Same thing with Kaido. First section of the fight, he's fucking screwing around, doing fucking goofy-ass moves, having a good time, explicitly saying that he's having fun. Then he finally says, let's end this, pulls out Bajrangan, and from then on, he's back to his, like, actual, like, I'm trying to win this fight, angry, serious mode, right? Like, you can't argue that Luffy was not more serious and more angry during the Bajrangan section of the fight than he was in the first initial chapters using Gear 5th. Like, that's just factually not true based on what Luffy himself is saying and the expressions and emotions and attitude that he's putting out there, right? King Halt says, bro, that's how he fights in Gear 5th. Yeah, I know. Generally, that's how he fights in Gear 5th. It takes him longer to get to serious mode, but when he does, that's when he uses his stronger moves, and that's when he fights more aggressively. Like, this is just true, right? Is there anything goofy about Bajrangan? No, there's nothing goofy about Bajrangan. When he's actually serious in Gear 5th, that's when he starts like actually abusing what it can do. Before that, he's using gag moves. Like, I don't really know what to say here, right? Like, is Luffy goofing around at this point in the fight? Right? Is he goofing around and having fun? This is very, very different than how he was fighting before. Is that not? Is this not true? Right? He literally says before he pulls that Bajron gun, like, I'm going to end this now, right? So I don't know what to say other than Luffy, when Luffy's fighting, goofing around, it's not as serious, or he's nowhere near as strong as he is when he's actually fighting seriously, right? That's true. Gear 5th makes him more likely to have fun and screw around even when he shouldn't, but we still see that in Gear 5th, when he gets serious, that's when he is at his best self, right? That is, like, that's just true. That's just what you can see. Like, this is very different than what he was acting like, talking about a little bit earlier in the fight, right? Like, I don't think there's an argument that as soon as Luffy got... Can we say this? As soon as Luffy actually gets serious in Gear 5th, he defeats Kaido. That is factually true, correct? Sienna Mona says this coward ignores my super. Okay, let's see what your super is. The Loman, message redacted. Sienna Mono, thanks for the 6. Thanks for your first super. When Roger gets 5 bill, it's his strength not being Pirate King, but Akainu's bounty is him being Fleet Admiral. Why don't you stop the downplay? Pathetic. What? What the hell? First of all, we know that Roger got his 5 bill through... Okay. We know that Roger got his 5 bill because... I'm actually so mind blown. Okay. So... We know that, 1, Roger overthrew Rocks, who was the previous 5 billion berry bounty in the world, right? So that's number 1, what Roger did. 2, literally the entire narrative of One Piece talks about how Roger was the strongest on the ocean, tied with Whitebeard, right? How all other pirates on the sea were basically second to Roger and Whitebeard. So much of what Roger did and why he is called Pirate King is related to his strength, right? That is established in the narrative. Akainu, we know, fought to a fucking draw with Aokiji, meaning Akainu was like 1%, like... Aokiji, who is an admiral, right? Akainu, who is an admiral, right? If Akainu had lost that fight, which he won by a sliver, right, you would have a 3 billion berry bounty. So you think it's a 2 billion berry... Like, do you actually think that bounties are literally strength at this point where we're at in the One Piece story? You realize that Akainu was, like, literally pretty much portrayed to be basically exactly equal to Aokiji? I don't even know what to say to this. Like, are we still having bounty equals strength discussions this late in One Piece? Right? You know that at this point in the story, if Akainu, as Fleet Admiral, has a 5 billion berry bounty, right? And then other admirals have a 3 billion berry bounty, and Akainu barely got this by just about defeating another admiral, right? At the end of the day, him having a 5 billion berry bounty reflects the fact that he is, 1, obviously very, very individually strong, likely top 5, top 6 strongest characters, maybe even higher. We don't know yet. If he got stronger or something, maybe conquer Saki. I think that's totally plausible. But we know at the end of the day, a large part of this has to be his status and his rank as controlling the entire Marine Corps, right? Controlling the entire largest military organization in the entire planet, right? I don't even, like, this is not worth having a discussion, because if at this point in the story you literally think that, like, if you genuinely think at this point in the story that bounty equals strength, I don't know what to, like, there's no, like, you need to reread the whole story. You know what I mean? It would be from day 1, like chapter 1. There's no conversation to be had. All right, we're gonna move it on. We're gonna move it along. All right. Bustle Leviathan says, Pew doesn't have it either. There's an account called Sengotku that posted a translation lol, but not sure about bias. An account called Zika has the raws. I can't read raws. I don't know how to read raws. Let's see. Can someone just tell me what the translation is, and then we just agree if it's, like, accurate or something? I'll look at, you said Pew doesn't have it. Okay, Pew doesn't have it either. Then where's everyone getting it from? Because everyone seems to know what it is. Ramen Stain Strength to the 5. I think Big Mom gets too much slander. In theory, she could consume nearly her whole soul to scale to nearly anyone. She only loses to cheese like Law. No, she only lost to Dynamite. I want to be very clear. I don't want the rhetoric around this to change. She lost to Dynamite. She did not lose to Law. Vivre Card, Sentamaru. Is there anything interesting here? Armament observation, yada yada. Ginny. Let me see if there's any interesting characters here. Okay, S. Hawk. Strongest form of mankind. No. Okay, is there any interesting stuff? What's the interesting Vivre cards here? Has S. Hawk got anything? Alright. This is confirmed. So this is important. Okay. So to clarify for everybody, the Garp reveal is really, really significant that he has Conqueror's Haki. Not because it's a surprise, because it was kind of apparent from just what he did there. At, with Galaxy Impact, the Galaxy moves that he has Conqueror's Haki, and he's using Advanced Conqueror's Haki. However, from what I recall, Garp had a Vivre card earlier that did not show him to be a Conqueror's Haki user. It only revealed Sengoku to be a Conqueror's Haki user, right? But then Garp had that shit that he did at Hachinosu, and everybody's like, okay, he must be a Conqueror's Haki user, right? So, and then after that battle, now Oda comes out with this Vivre card revealing that Garp is a Conqueror's Haki user. So this confirms something very important for the Vivre cards, which is that Oda does not like to reveal information, like important information in Vivre cards related to people's abilities. He doesn't like to reveal important information in Vivre cards related to people's abilities if Oda is planning to showcase that later in the story, right? So that would explain some discrepancies, like Ace's Vivre card originally did not show that he knows armament, but then the Ace novels revealed that he has armament. Garp's original Vivre card, I might be mistaken, so somebody correct me if I'm mistaken here, but Garp's original Vivre card did not show that he had Conqueror's Haki, likely because Oda wanted to showcase that in the story itself. Mihawk has been the subject of a lot of debate, like why does his Vivre card not show that he has Conqueror's Haki? I would assume that we're waiting for a point in the story where Oda actually wants to show everything Mihawk can do, and he likely will be a Conqueror's Haki user. I just don't think that Oda likes to explain or to establish what characters... Like, if characters are supposed to have a hype reveal of a certain ability, I assume that Oda doesn't want that to be revealed in a Vivre card if it's going to be revealed later in the story. Sengoku, on the other hand, was stated to have Conqueror's Haki in his Vivre card. I would assume that's because in the narrative itself, we're never really going to get to see Sengoku fighting in a significant way, showcasing Conqueror's Haki. So I don't know. All right, continuing on. So I guess with this case, we can assume that Kobe does not have Conquerors, right? Or Oda doesn't want to establish whether or not what he used there was Conquerors, whereas with Garp, he's fine. Do you guys think Kobe has Conquerors? Let me see. Does Kobe have Conquerors? Oh, no. Let me make it more clear. Did Kobe use Conquerors? Oh, I missed the important part for Garp? Okay, I'll go back and check that. In his Honesty Impact. Okay, let me go back to Garp. St. Bernard, My Justice, 3 Billion Berry. What the fuck? Marine of Legends. What did I miss? Armament Observation Conquers Haki? Didn't I get it all? Am I missing something? East Blue, Goa Kingdom, My Justice. I like that motto. What am I missing here? Okay, people are leaning towards no, but it seems tight. Helmeppo. Oh, I don't like his animal being a hyena. Come on. That feels like... Oh, skinny. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. All right. Alright. I'm honestly not interested in most of these characters too much. Okay, so we're just going to read this, and then we will try and dig for more information, okay? Kizaru, blah, blah, blah. Ambiguous Justice, 3 Bill, Pika Pika no Mi, Smoking Meats, Lemons, Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Where would be the best source? The monster rookies when they both joined. Did Aokiji not make it into this epithet? That's cool to know, though. Prince Groose. I saw something about Prince Groose. So his bounty is high, right? No, 500 mil. Never mind. For some reason, I saw that his bounty was supposed to be higher or something. Aokiji, Kuzan. He doesn't like elaborate cooking. Maybe because he doesn't like to put effort into things. Still seems like the admirals are not Conqueror's Haki users. Okay. This seems important. 1 year ago, defeats Whitebeard pirates, blah, blah, blah. After Payback War meets Aokiji. Seizes control. Okay. Interesting. Isha's homeland. Okay, so we just found out some new places, but not too many details, I guess. There's a page of text for each character not shown since Abyssal Leviathan, and JWP is clarifying if you're looking for the text on Vivre Cards, the Sengoku account is pretty reliable, but you have to scroll through a bit. Okay, I'll go to that next. All currently known cross guild, 5 bill. Crazy, because it's technically the highest bounty in, like, active bounty in existence that we know of right now, right? Unless Garp's, or, like, Dragon Scout, whatever. Garp, 3 bill, blah, blah, all the 3 bills. What the fuck? Does anyone know who this is? I'm so confused. Who's this? Did I miss something really huge here? Can somebody tell me who's this person? I'm actually feeling kind of stupid right now. Who's this? Hello? Who's this person? Who is Spadin? Is this like a typo? Spadin's supposed to be Spandam? Why does Spandam have a... Maybe they just don't like Spandam. It's just Spandam? Okay. Why does Spandam have a 1 billion berry bounty? I mean, this is just my thought with, like, bounties not equaling strength. Spandam has a 1 billion berry bounty, right? I don't really know what to say. We're just going to keep moving along. Curse One Piece Lore, Gatherine, dumped Jabber after... She had dumped Who's Who as well? Because she likes Lucci? Oh, God. And that's why Who's Who hides his face. That sucks, man. Damn. Sad shit. It's not Spadin? Okay, who's Spadin then? Who's Spadin? This guy is Spadin? It's a real person? Who the fuck is this guy? You guys think he's like a vice admiral that's like exceptionally strong? Wait, but I'm so confused. Who the fuck is... I'm actually so fucking lost with this shit. Oh, no, I see. 3 crowns. Oh, so this is 1 crown, and these are 3 stars, okay? So Spadin is just somebody that we don't know yet, who must be an important vice admiral. His birthday is August 9th. Okay. I kind of want to get to the other text because I feel like there's nothing super interesting here, right? Am I missing any particularly interesting? Like, I don't care about these guys. Okay, what's this? Germ Pirates from Big's cover story. I'm not interested in these guys. Hyogur's wife. Don't care about this. Okay, this stuff generally sucks, right? So we're going to get to the flavor text. Oh, we got some new heights. Okay, hold on. I know Ohara's not no, it's not Ohara. Archer's not always. No, because these are the official heights, right? So Luffy, holy shit. Yeah, they're One Piece fights are always like kind of crazy. All right. Okay. So, what is the account that I have to find? Sen Gotku? I think I know that account. Let me try and look it up. Hold on. Let me see. I don't really see stuff here. Hold on. Here's what I'm seeing on this guy's thing. Am I at the right person? Is this it? Spadin is the silhouette character, calling it now. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if he's important enough to be part of the 12 most important characters. GD and 2 says Yonko Commanders of Nightmares of Spadin. Okay, why do we still have the... Oh, Kobe's Bowl is at 50-50. Hibari, Dimian Wright, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 14 months. Make sure to get your submission in for the Pirate King podcast. Hibari is revealed to be from North Blue and blood type F, same as Akainu. That, along with them speaking the same dialect, seems to point to them being father-daughter. Akainu backstory will be good. Oh, shit. I am excited for Akainu's backstory. I don't know if she'll feature that much in it, but I do think he'll be a more sympathetic character at the end of the day. Morj sold me Fent, thanks to the 2. Spadin's silhouette character calling... Oh, no, we covered that. This is the correct person to scroll. 1v1 Spadin or man marked by Flaves. I'll take it Spadin. Okay. What am I... Okay, so Zika... What... Is he translating shit? Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Kizaru, right? Wait, I thought this was Kizaru. Okay. Should I follow this? Somebody tell me... Okay, here we go. Okay. This is it. All right, this is what the centerpiece of our discussion revolves around. All right? You missed you missed that the Seraphim can use hockey? Oh, shit. You're right. I did not see that. I did not even process that. Poco Loco, that is fucking huge. The Seraphim using hockey is an absolute fucking, like, ridiculous game changer. Because the Seraphim, first of all, right? I did see that, like, because I did notice that it said armament observation, but here's the thing. Those things, the fact that every character fucking has it listed off as, armament observation is so fucking standard, I didn't even mentally register that it's a big deal, right? Then now you're processing that it's a Seraphim. Here's the interesting thing about the Seraphim. So the Seraphim are established to still be children. They're still growing, and it was stated that they're, like, still, like, a lot of their genes and stuff are still kicking in. So just because S-Hawk and S-Snake have not shown Conqueror's Hockey just yet does not mean that they can't still develop it the further that it goes down. That's very, very interesting. That's actually a huge deal. Isaiah Davis, thanks for the 5. I don't think people understand how insane Kobe's armament would have to be if it's comparable to Garp's advanced Conqueror's Hockey. Luffy needs a Devil Fruit to stack up. I don't know if Oda, like, cares that much about those sort of details. We'll find out later if it's supposed to have been armament or Conquerors. All right, Let's see. This admiral, blah, blah, blah. However, this mission was anything but straightforward. His task was the assassination of his best friend, Vegapunk. As he set out on this difficult mission, he struggled to suppress the turmoil within his heart. He resolved to remain steadfast in his position as Admiral Kizaru, determined to maintain his principles. Yet, even as he attempted to carry out his duties calmly, the unshakable anguish he felt could not be hidden. With a heavy heart, he ultimately had to take the life of his best friend. The sunglasses he now wears remain clouded, a reflection of his ongoing inner turmoil. Okay. Kizaru wasn't nerfed. How long until Rebel Riders come back? Okay, so where is there a part that's because especially there's a part that said that his spirit was broken or something. Is there something about that? Is there something about the spirit being broken part? I want the full information. Is there more information to come? I want the full information before we start having this discussion. Rubber Riders is funny. Yeah, if Mihawk is conquerors, then his Seraphim clone is conquerors. Yeah, and if Hancock is conquerors, Doflamingo is conquerors, then the Seraphim clone will. I don't think people like the implications of this, but the Seraphim could logically be as strong as their original parts, like original whatever beings, or stronger potentially down the line if they reach their full potential. One, because the world's smartest man, history's smartest man, the smartest person in the last like 800 years, literally designed them to be so, right? He specifically explained that he designed them to be the strongest form of humanity, right? Two, because it was explained that for whatever One Piece logic or whatever, the battle experiences, the experiences or whatever, are actually of like their predecessors are actually coded in their DNA, right? So it is supposed to be like a clone of the character along with like their hypothetical battle experiences and ability set and everything like that, right? And then you throw in Lunarian stuff, giant stuff, devil fruits. In theory, the Seraphim could get there, right? Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. There's more flavor text in this about the fight with Luffy and after killing Vegapunk, but it's spread everywhere about. Is it still on this Twitter thread? Can I get to it through here? Antonio Newman, thanks for the 5. The theory was Spadin was the guy who asked Mihawk where he was going when Shanks pulled up to Marineford, and Mihawk is being petty. It's in the thread. Oh, god damn it. That's actually really, really fucking funny. I'm not going to delve into that too much because I don't want the stream to go out forever. Yes, there is, but I got from GPTing the raw, says Abyssal Leviathan. All right, so here's what it's looking like, everybody. Unless somebody can give me like I can GPT the raw. I don't really use GPT, so I don't know if it's reliable. Outside of when it was first getting popular, and then I tried fucking around with it. Can somebody just tell me? Okay, because it seems like people understand the gist of what it's supposed to say. What does it say without making stuff up? What is it? What is the rest? What does the key points of the flavor text say? What does the key point of the flavor text say? Sienna Mono saying, "Take the L like a man, Morj. Stop making excuses, Rubber Rider." This is actually the ultimate irony because factually, objectively, Kizaru took the L, and it's the fucking Admiral Riders that are making excuses. Are we in fucking upside down land? I'm happy to get more context on this, right? But it doesn't change the fact that Kizaru lost and that Luffy was portrayed way above Kizaru. If you want to argue that there was more going on, which there was, right? We all knew that Kizaru did feel some sort of way. But if we want to argue that like Kizaru at full strength is somehow above Luffy and that this would conquer like a pizza diff, which is like a 2v1 pizza diff, that's a whole different fucking discussion. Because like at the end of the day, if it was like a close fight, right? If it was like a close fight and then it was like, okay, Kizaru lost a close fight and then it's like, oh, but he was like mentally nerfed or something, then that's one thing. But if it's that basic of a diff, like Luffy essentially treated him like a random fodder on Fishman Island or something, then there's not really an argument. Because like by that logic, you can argue anything. I mean, like you can go to fucking like here, let's look at it in color. feeling mental and emotional anguish doesn't mean that you would automatically win any fight, especially if you're getting stomped, if you weren't feeling emotional anguish, right? Because I would argue that Luffy's spirit is broken across this whole scene, right? This is Luffy very upset, very emotionally turned up, right? His spirit's all in shambles or whatever. He's still you need to actually demonstrate that the character is capable of putting up a fight. Kizaru got stomped with Saturn, right? So to go all the way from okay, Kizaru is fodder to Luffy, right? Literal fodder to Luffy to, oh, if Kizaru wasn't upset about Vegapunk, then he would actually beat Luffy. That's like a mountain to climb in terms of an argument. You need actual evidence for that, which doesn't exist in the story. So I would like to see that. Unless the Vivre Card literally says that Kizaru would have won the fight if he wasn't upset. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. After killing his friend, Kizaru's mind reaches its limit, and it's next to the pictures of him on the ship. Okay, I mean, I would argue that Luffy's mind is at its limit right here, as his whole crew's disappearing, right? Does that mean that Luffy's going to beat Kuma? No, if you're getting low diff like this, you need more than that as an argument. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. Another is that he was conflicted from the start, next to the picture of maintaining the agenda panel meme. Still, though, if you're getting pizza diff, you need to actually put forward evidence that Kizaru would have won if he was not mentally conflicted, right? When the gap in showings is so big, you can't just bridge that gap by saying, okay, but this character was affected in some way, right? You need to actually put forward evidence that, okay, well, if they were at full strength, this would have gone differently. Do you guys follow that? Does that make sense? Because by that logic, there's a lot of fights in One Piece where one character is, handicapped in some form. Like Zoro was handicapped when Kizaru showed up here, right? Zoro was extremely handicapped. But that doesn't mean that if Zoro was at full health, he would have beaten Kizaru. You always need to put evidence forward that if this character was not suffering from the handicap, then they would have overcome the gap that exists, right? The gap between Luffy and Kizaru that was portrayed at the end of Egghead was so fucking huge that you need to actually come up with some logical argument for why a healthy Kizaru could have beaten Luffy. There is one argument that I think Admiral fans could say, which we could hypothetically see down the line, which is if we get Kizaru's awakening, and it's some absolutely broken awakening, then there's an argument. Until we get that, there's still not an argument that Kizaru is above Luffy. We still just have the basic facts, which is Luffy fucking fodderized, literally fodderized Kizaru, and we know now that Kizaru, for a fact, that Kizaru was not mentally, we already knew from there that Kizaru was emotionally troubled or whatever, but now it's confirmed in Vivre Card stuff that he was not mentally at his best, right? Does that mean that he would be defeating Luffy if he was mentally at his best? That's a very, very, very tall argument to make because there's just no evidence for it, and Kizaru did ultimately get fodderized, which I don't care how mentally nerfed you are, you can't just get treated like a foot soldier or like a gifter or something like that at the end of the day, right? The gap can't be that big. All right, let's see. What's everyone saying? Animated mention, thanks for the 5. Check this X link on who gave Luffy food in its Pew Piece channel. No, I know that Kizaru gave Luffy food, but that's related to Bonnie and saving Bonnie, which is a different discussion. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 2. Second page of the Raw VC if you want to check me. Second page of the Raw VC. Second page of the Raw VC? Vivre Card. Okay, where's the Raw Vivre Card? Kobe's Vivre Card. Well, the main point you're saying is that Kizaru's mind was at its limit or whatever was broken, right? Spirit reached its limits, etc. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 2. We covered that. The Lowman, thanks for the 5. The pizza diff honestly depends on if you think that's an off guard or not. That's not an off guard. It literally can't be because it's already a 2v2 that's going on. There's no off guard. It's already a fight. Noodle XY says, but the moment Kizaru gave him the food was the moment he could have killed him. Yeah, but I'm only debating the second Luffy versus Kizaru fight when Luffy was actually serious, right? First one, we know he was not serious because Luffy did not squeeze Kizaru, right? Established, very clear, frame, control A versus... example A versus example B, right? Luffy grabs Kizaru the first time, doesn't squeeze, screwing around. Luffy grabs Kizaru the second time, squeezes, clearly taking it serious. Luffy also makes it very clear second time around that he's actually upset. These are two very different Luffys, right? So I'm scaling off a second Luffy when Luffy's actually trying. When Luffy's actually trying, pizza dips Kizaru, right? So is there any sort of argument that Kizaru would not lose? He would go from getting pizza dipped all the way to defeating Luffy the second time around. I would love to hear the arguments for that. Because the only thing you can really argue at this point is like, it's not a win to say that, well, my character lost and got completely fodderized and wrecked, but he could have hypothetically done better because he was handicapped. That's not a win, that's a defense. Those are two very different things, right? So if there's some argument that Kizaru could have beaten an angry Gear 5th Luffy that pizza diffed him in a 2v1 if Kizaru wasn't upset about Vegapunk, I would love to hear that argument. Okay, I need an argument. At this point, it's just like going backward and forth over the same points. Let me just lay out the argument very quickly, all right? So, and then we'll end the stream post this, okay? Because we've gone in circles over this, right? So, here's the things that we know. Okay, wait. We'll do it factually, all right? We'll do it fair. We'll do it clean. All right, hold on. All right, we'll do this purely through points, all right? Okay. All right. Ready? Purely through points, all right? And then you tell me which one of these things is incorrect, all right? From the beginning, all right? Let's start with Kizaru's mental state of mind, all right? We know, okay, Kizaru was internally conflicted during the fight. That's a fact, right? Kizaru was internally conflicted during the fight. Characters don't fight their best when internally conflicted. Ergo, Kizaru could have done better. That wasn't his best version. These are all things that we know. Kizaru was not trying to throw the fight against Luffy, as established by his internal monologue during, what is it, White Star Gun. He was still aiming to, well, no, it's not fair to say he was still aiming to win, but we know he was not trying to throw the fight, right? Kizaru was trying to kill Vegapunk, even though he personally didn't want to, as established in Vivre Card, and the fact that he did kill Vegapunk. Kizaru was not trying to kill Bonnie based on his personal statements, and the fact that he fed Luffy when Bonnie was in danger, right? So this is everything that we know, right? To sum up, Kizaru was internally conflicted, was not trying to throw the fight, except for when Bonnie was in danger. And his spirit was well, I don't know what the exact phrasing was, at its limit or broken, whatever it was, at its worst, let's say, till we get a better translation, when after killing Vegapunk, right? So we know all this, right? This is all correct, right? Any disagreements with this? We know he was internally conflicted. Characters don't fight their best when internally conflicted. Ergo, Kizaru could have done better. That wasn't his best version, right? Everybody agrees with this. We also have to agree Kizaru was not trying to throw the fight against Luffy because he says as much during his internal monologue during White Star Gun, right? He specifically says, this is not good, meaning he's not actually trying to throw Luffy. Kizaru was trying to kill Vegapunk. He just did not want to kill Vegapunk, right? That's made clear. All going back towards being internally conflicted, right? These are all correct things, blah, blah, blah. Kizaru was not trying to kill Bonnie because he says he's not trying to kill Bonnie, and he fed Luffy when Bonnie was in danger, right? So he's internally conflicted, but he was not trying to throw the fight except for when Bonnie was in danger. His spirit was at its worst after killing Vegapunk. So that's basically what we got here, okay? So we got Vegapunk not at his best, but not trying to lose. Meaning, Kizaru was not at his best, but not trying to lose, right? Those are two separate things. He was not at his best, but he was not trying to lose, okay? Moving beyond that, right, to Luffy, we know Luffy was more serious in round 2 based on Luffy's attitude and the fact that he actually tried to hurt Kizaru after grabbing him, whereas round 1 he was having fun and didn't squeeze, right? So we know Luffy was more serious in round 2, but we also know that Kizaru was more conflicted in round 2, right? At the end of the day, Luffy fodderized Kizaru and pizza diffed him in a 2v1 alongside another similar Admiral-ish level character, correct? However, again, Kizaru was not at his best. And his spirit was at its lowest at that point. So, ultimately, Kizaru has a defense for getting fodderized, but he was still fodderized. Is there an argument as to how Kizaru's handicap was so big that in better mental condition he would actually have bridged the gap from being pizza diffed 2v1 to actually defeating Luffy? Essentially, was the handicap so big that it would be like who's a character that Luffy fodderized similar to how he fodderized Kizaru here? Who's a character? Can you guys think of one? Who's an example? I guess an example would be like because the pizza dip's pretty brutal, right? Who has Luffy fodderized in the past? Yeah. Would take Kizaru from being like, I don't know, like who's an example? Someone Luffy would totally fodderize. Yeah, I guess you would say from being like if we took like I guess like what's an example? What's like a good example here? I don't even know what an example is. Bellamy? No, because Luffy put more effort into that punch against Bellamy than he did against pizza diffing Kizaru and Saturn. What's something better? I feel like... What's something better? Something else? Hadruden? Bluno? Yeah, I guess it would take Kizaru from being like Bluno to Lucci level. But it took more to beat Bluno. Gear 2 almost didn't do it. First of all, does anyone disagree with any of these points, right? We can only have an honest discussion. We can only have an honest discussion if you guys agree with these points. So please tell me which point you disagree with. Okay. We're almost there. Hold on. The low man, thanks for the 5. Someone can drop their guards in a split second. Kizaru started going after Sanji and Vegapunk. He was traveling at the speed of light. That's the fastest he can fucking go. Luffy caught him out of the speed of light. Kizaru cannot travel faster than that. What's the discussion here? That was the fastest he could go. That's also the second time Luffy grabbed him, by the way. The second time. All right? The second time. And you cannot get off guard. I don't even want to hear discussions about Kizaru being caught off guard the first time. Luffy's walking around the fucking size of a skyscraper, climbing up the dome like he's fucking King Kong or some shit. You cannot get caught off guard by that. There's no off guard excuse. If he got caught, he got caught, right? If Kizaru got caught off guard once or something, if Luffy caught him once, you could be the off guard argument or something, but it happened twice, and neither time really has an excuse, right? You could maybe excuse it if it only happened once, but when it happens twice, it's just dude, Luffy can just catch him whenever he wants, right? All right, moving along. Which of these... Wait, let me respond to these. Abyssal Leviathan, message retracted. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 10. Anger doesn't get rid of Gear 5's time limit. To beat Angry Luffy, just spam clones until the time limit and outpace him with light speed. Not assuming more abilities, even though, in my opinion, he does have them. The thing is, we have to go with how Oda actually writes those fights, because then by that logic, I could say Robin wins a shit ton of fights that Oda would probably have her lose in the story, right? So it's more so how is the abilities actually applied. I don't think, beat Angry Luffy, just spam clones or whatever. You could say that in theory, but in reality, we've seen that as soon as Luffy decides to go Gear 5th and fight Kizaru, both times the fights begin with Kizaru getting grabbed, right? Both times, that's how it starts. So if that's how the fight's starting both times, that's what Oda is saying is what would happen, right? Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 2. I can make a few more points, but now I'm broke. I'm sorry, man. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. One more. Marines on the ship ask Kizaru where his wounds are, implying no visible wounds. I agree, but Kizaru would have been chucked into the sea, right? If there was no ship there. So the fact that there's a ship there is the only reason he didn't die. I should add that. Note, Kizaru only didn't immediately die because he was lucky there was a boat there. And I would mention, thanks for the 10, I think Garp left Luffy in Fuchsia Village after Luffy encountered with Shanks and eating Nika fruit. Garp left him with bandits to protect him. I think Garp knows about Nika. Maybe, but let's hope that that's the case for Garp. I don't know. Maybe. It's entirely possible. JWP, thanks for the 5. The fact that you can't find an example of Luffy doing someone worse than Kizaru minus actual fodder is telling. Yeah, that is actually a big deal. Everyone listen up to what JWP just said, which is I have actually genuine difficulty thinking of somebody a named character, a notable named character that Luffy defeated easier than Kizaru and Kizaru. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 2. Morj, you missed one of my chats about being grabbed. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me try and catch it. Sorry about that, man. Second page of the Raw VC. Another is he was conflicted from the start as for killing his friend Kizaru. I don't think... Yes, there is, but I got GPT from the Raw. I think I've covered everything I see. I see from you, Abyssal Leviathan. I think I cover everything I see. That's all I see from you, man. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Okay, is there anything I've stated here that's incorrect so far? Right? Kizaru was internally conflicted during the fight. We all agree on that, right? And that was clear in the story itself. Vivre Cards just helped embellish that. Characters don't fight their best when internally conflicted. We can all agree on that. Ergo, Kizaru could have done better. That wasn't his best version. Kizaru was not trying to throw the fight against Luffy, as established by his internal monologue. Sorry, my face is probably hiding some stuff. Here, let me move my face up. There we go. Internally conflicted, blah, blah, blah. Kizaru was not trying to throw the fight against Luffy, as established by his internal monologue during White Star Gun, right? Kizaru was trying to kill Vegapunk, even though he personally didn't want to, as established in Vivre Card, and the fact that he did kill Vegapunk, right? Kizaru was not trying to kill Bonnie based on his personal statements and the fact that he fed Luffy when Bonnie was in danger. To sum up, Kizaru was internally conflicted, was not trying to throw the fight, except for when Bonnie was in danger, and his spirit was at its worst after killing Vegapunk, meaning Kizaru was not in his best, but not trying to lose. We also know Luffy was more serious in round 2 based on Luffy's attitude and the fact that he actually tried to hurt Kizaru after grabbing him, whereas round 1 he was having fun and didn't squeeze. At the end of the day, Luffy fodderized Kizaru and pizza diffed him in a 2v1 alongside another similar admirable character. Note, Kizaru only didn't immediately die because he was lucky there was a boat there. However, again, Kizaru was not at his best and his spirit was at its lowest at that point. So, ultimately, Kizaru has a defense for getting fodderized, but he was still fodderized. Is there an argument for... I shouldn't embellish that. Yet to be an argument for him actually being stronger than Luffy. There is a huge gap between being fodderized in a 2v1 to actually claiming said character would win the fight straight up in a 1v1. That is claiming an absolutely gigantic, unprecedented, unheard of, comically huge level of handicap. Solo. All right, so that's what we're saying. Bissell Leviathan, thanks for the 5. Morj, look for my $10 donation that starts with the argument 1. I talked about the grab in round 2. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let me pull up the big thing. The big thing. Hold on. So it's a lot earlier then. You had one that got deleted though. You had one that I saw that was deleted, and that was a 10. But I didn't delete that. Can you just say... Okay, I don't want you to keep messaging it, so can you just say it here, and then I'll respond to that. The low man, thanks for the 5. Kizaru could have flew and prevented himself from going to the ocean like he did the first time, right? Depends on how hard Luffy threw him, because the first time, Luffy threw him up, and this time Luffy threw him straight at the water. So that's a hypothetical, but, that's like... assuming that Kizaru is just capable of like shaking off however hard Luffy throws him. All right. Is there any is there anything incorrect here, right? Because the main thing that the only thing that's ultimately being established is that Kizaru was handicapped, right? So you're essentially, but then the question is, right? Nobody's, I think, debating that Kizaru was handicapped, right? Kizaru was not his best self. I think nobody's debating that, right? We all agree Kizaru not his best self, right? So now what we're trying to say is, if Luffy was here, like way up here, and Kizaru was basically pizza diff, this is where we put pizza diff, right? Was the handicap so big that would go all the way from like Kizaru getting pizza diffed to like low diff to medium diff to like high diff to actually beating Luffy? Like it's got to go all the way from here to here, right? So I'm trying to think of another example in the story, if you guys want to help me. Oh, and this pizza diff happened in a 2v1, so it's actually worse than a pizza diff because it's like a double pizza diff, right? Is there any example of Luffy, like what else did Luffy... Because the closest thing we're getting to here is like... It's like... Who was that elephant thing that Luffy... The elephant guard that Luffy beat at Udon? Like, that's the kind of layers that we're getting to here, right? Because I'm trying to think of, like, someone that Luffy beat with that level of ease. And then scaling it to like, you know what I mean? Like scaling it to Luffy, like claiming that the handicap was so big that it would get it back to like this character hypothetically could actually beat Luffy if they weren't mentally nerfed. Does that make sense? Like it would be like arguing, who's that guard? Who's the guard in Udon? Who's the guard in Udon? Sean Ike says Bellamy is actually a good example. No, I disagree because Luffy put effort into that Bellamy punch. Like I think that's one of the harder punches that Luffy did. This was a joke, what Luffy did to Kizaru and Saturn. This was a gag. Brago's coming through. Brago, tell me what you disagree with here. And the only thing you can't disagree with is the pizza diff, because that's what happened, right? So what's the point that you disagree with here? Because I agree with these points. This is basically where we're at now. Is there a character that is similar in like, is there a character that we can talk about that, like, Luffy beat with a similar level of difficulty, right, to Kizaru? Arata says Kizaru had no injuries. Yeah, because he's lucky he landed on that fucking boat and isn't at the bottom of the ocean floor. The low man, thanks for the 10. Yes, it was that big. Luffy versus Usopp. Usopp was weaker than Luffy in Water 7. Gave him a good fight because Luffy was mentally nerfed. No, it's because Usopp fucking planned the fuck out of that fight. What the fuck? It's because Usopp planned the fuck out of that fight. Give credit to where credit is due, man. Is there... I'm looking for one example. Give me one example. Give me a character that Luffy defeated with that level of difficulty. That's all I'm asking. One example. One example of like a character that Luffy beat with that level of difficulty. And then I want to hear the argument that if that character, like... Is there any character that Luffy could do that to, and you could make the argument that, like, oh, well, if they were mentally in a better state, then they would have beaten Luffy? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I just want to give a point of comparison. You know what I'm saying? It would be, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, if Lucci was in a mentally nerfed state, would he be as bad as, like, what? Like, what's the scale here? If Kaido was in a mentally nerfed state, would he be, like, what's the floor here? Like, would he be, like... Is emotionally upset Kaido, like, I don't know, fucking, like, Katakuri level or something like that? Like, how big can a mental nerf be? That's my question. How big can a mental nerf be, right? How big can a mental nerf be, right? Could a mental nerf take a character from, like, literally, like, Yonko level, like you're arguing Kizaru is, to... like, what, the fucking, like, what's an example? Like, Queen level. Like, what are we saying? How big can a mental nerf be? Can it take a character from, like, Yonko level to, like, that's the question. Like, how much can it affect a character? Keep in mind, for anybody new to this stream, including Brago, this is not me attacking the Admirals, okay? This is not me attacking the Admirals. I think Kizaru versus Kaido would be kind of close. I think Kizaru versus Big Mom would be kind of close. My only argument is that when Luffy is serious, using Gear 5's abilities, we've seen the moment he gets serious in fights, this is factually true, both times it's happened, the moment Luffy gets serious in Gear 5 fights, he finishes the fight. It doesn't matter who he's up against. It happened against Kaido. It happened against Kizaru and Saturn, right? I feel like this is just Luffy gas, but for some reason, people would rather defend the Admirals than the main character of the story and just accept what we're reading. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Kizaru had no injuries? Yeah, because he landed on a boat. He would have landed in the fucking ocean if the boat wasn't fucking there. All right. We have argued this to death. My personal opinion, my conclusion, Gear 5 Luffy, the moment he gets serious, can end most fights. See Kaido, see Kizaru/Saturn to say that Serious Gear 5 Luffy Pizza Dift Kizaru is not an insult to admirals, just pointing out that Gear 5 Luffy is broke and the main character. That's all. That's it. This will be the last super reading. The low man thanks the 5. I mean, that's why Luffy and Zoro got one shot by Lucci, because their mental state, and even Nami said hesitation makes you weak. That is a phenomenal example. But here's the thing. Could Luffy and Zoro, let me ask you this. I love that fucking example. Could Luffy and Zoro have beaten Lucci if they were at full health right then? Like full mentally strong, like full mental strength? No. Luffy needed a fucking power-up. Zoro needed power-ups, right? You can, like, that's the thing. Like, you can't just claim that because a character has a mental nerf or is handicapped or whatever, therefore they would win the fight otherwise. That's what I have an issue with, right? Especially considering how badly he got humiliated right there, right? You can't just make that jump. It's like, aha, he wasn't at his best. Therefore, he would have just won otherwise. It's like, that's not, no, you're missing a step in logic there. All you're establishing is that he wasn't at his best. Therefore, he might or would likely do better otherwise, right? But you're not establishing that that means that he would have won, especially when it was a 2v1 that this happened, and the gap was demonstrated to be that big. And also, again, so far, Gear 5 Luffy, the moment he gets serious, see Kaido, see Kizaru and Saturn, he's got a 100% track record the moment he gets angry. That's all I got. All right, everybody. We're going to call it there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let me know in the comments, etc., if you've got issues with any of these other points made. We got one more chat from PenPal1058. Thank you for being a Pirate King to your member for 23 months, man. Make sure to get your Pirate King submission in before the podcast for this weekend. If you could have the Rocky Port incident in any other format rather than SBS, like special episode, movie, etc., other than the actual manga, what would it be? Also, any future ideas for merch like Food of the Devil? Watch out for this great question. Watch out for this Christmas. We will be rolling out more things for sure. I'm glad that you like the Fruit of the Devil. I should wear that more on stream. I don't think I really need a movie or episode for the Rocky Port incident. Maybe like one really good animated episode, but not like a whole elaborate thing for it, I don't think. Like one really good animated special episode, I think, would cover it with like high tier budget and good pacing all throughout. Maybe like One Piece fan letter or something. Maybe that's a lot to ask for. All right, everybody, we are going to call it there, but thank you very, very much for tuning in, and yeah, I will talk to you all later.